Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Good Morning Xbox, episode 16, as a matter of fact. So, Good Morning Xbox. I already screwed up the intro. It's going to be that kind of morning. I can see this right now. I hope everybody's having a great morning so far. I know I am up and ready to go. I thought we were going to be delayed exponentially here as my cat decided to sabotage the show and try to turn off my computer and everything else. And of course, my laptop takes forever to start up and reboot and do all that stuff. So, but here we are. It's going to be a good show. We've got our regular cast of characters and we've got a special guest, as you can see by the screen. So this is going to be a doozy. A couple of good topics, including the discussion about timed exclusives and whether they think they're bad, they're good, or how do they fit into the grand scheme of things. And does Xbox need a hero game? It's something that has been certainly debated, and I've certainly been vocal about it on Twitter. Let's find out how the rest of the panel feels and our esteemed guests. So without any further ado here, let's get right into it. And we might even just briefly discuss, just what our thoughts were about Sony's show. I know this is an Xbox podcast, and we're not here to slam the competition. We're just here, to give our thoughts on some of the games that we might have thought were really exciting there, because obviously some of them are going to be multi-plat, and we should expect them to come to the Xbox in the course of time. So let's get right down to it. Starting off with my fantastic co-panel member, the one with she's not a meanie, but she wears a beanie. It's Coolcat Terri, although she can give it to you pretty well if you get on her bad side. But here she is. Coolcat, what's going on this morning?
I was gonna say I'm definitely a mean person. No, but I'm doing fantastic. I've been having a great week so far, and I'm ready to get into it. And I'm hoping we have a lot of difference of opinion today.
We just might. You never know. It's always good when we get a great debate going. We're going to leave our guests for last here. We'll introduce them, but we'll start at the bottom and work our way back around. So we have that charming young man down in that chair, Mr. Scrub Nurse.
Hey, good morning, guys. Good to be here. Glad to have Pong with us. What's up, everybody in the chat? Got your coffee? Let's talk games. Let's go.
The coffee, but I got this right here. Yeah, big can.
Monster.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Axel's already having palpitations. And speaking of Axel, since he just kind of chirped, let's bring him in here. Axel 1374. How are you this morning?
What? 1374? You're killing me.
Oh, 1374. Damn, I can't even read. I was adding some digits to you. New panel member.
Hey, everybody. And we're going to have a great day today. I can't wait to get into today's topics and just discuss things. And I'm really excited for Pong Soul to be here. Hey, Pong. Can't wait to hear from Pong on these topics as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I also can't wait to hear what this next gentleman's got to say. It looks like he's a little bit groomed down there. He's looking like a Santa Claus that is ready to go down the town. What's going on, Mrs. Cerebral Paul?
Not much. So Pong was the best you could find on short notice, huh?
Yes, Paul. It's very true.
Taking shots, and we're not even 5 minutes in. That's good.
I'm looking forward to today's show, but if I do take off quickly and unannounced, I will be back. So just be aware, I'm still a little under the weather. So.
Okay, well, we hope that you can bear with us here, and it's not atomic diarrhea situations, because those can be bad. Scrub knows all about those, Scrubs?
Yeah. Seen a bunch.
Seen a lot, yeah. Seen a lot, smelled a lot. All right. The man is out of control when he's on your show. It's Pong Soul. He's our guest this morning. It's Eternal Shaddai sitting this one out. So, Pong, glad to have you here, my brother. It's been long overdue, but we're glad to have you here. I know you're going to have lots of great opinions on today's topics and more. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much again, Newf, for thinking of me. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. Love what you guys are doing on Good Morning Xbox. Don't get to catch you guys live all the time, but I'm definitely rewatching it every week because you got a great panel. Shout out to Eternal Shaddai. Sad you couldn't be here today, brother, but happy to take your place. Let's put it that way. So, except that Paul still showed up. That's too bad. But you know what? I'll deal with it. I'm happy to be here with Coolcat, Axel, and Scrub Nurse. It's great to be here. So let's get down to these topics, man.
Let's do it. And just before we jump straight into the fire, let's acknowledge our amazing chat, starting with the one and only Doggy Dog, who comes in hot and heavy as he normally does on Sundays with a $1.99 super chat. Happy Sunday, Newf panel chat. Much love to all. Well, much love back to you, Doggy Dog. As I mentioned before, got to get you on this particular show at some point here. I'm sure we'll have a great time. Also in the chat this morning, we have Casket Repair. We have got your wicked hot Dreadpool is here. What's going on, Dread? Good to see you. We also have, let's scroll down here. We've got Ice Queen Gaming in the house. We've got Nix on standby and ready to roll. Cerebral Paul, I think you're no stranger to the next guy in the chat.
Who's that? Oh,
Come
is he
on,
here already?
come on, the guy you always announce.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. What was his name again? Oh, let's see. Where is it? Oh, let me. Oh, there he is. Crispy Rambo. No. Just kidding. It's Joe Dunmore. Welcome to the show, Joe.
All right, we got yes, Crispy Rambo is hanging out with us this morning as well. We've got Cray Simmons here. Cray, what's going on? Or Hollywood, as we call him on Xbox. Good to see you, my friend. Toolman 55 is here as well. Masuko, what's happening? And I think we're almost gone mad. Gone mad. What's going on? It's not Marion the Mad, though, is it? I think it's just gone mad. We got Noel Boy 1983. What's going on? It was a good year too, by the way, in 1983. What I can remember of it. But anyway, let's get right into it, shall we? Yes. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about let's go with the PlayStation thing first, and not like a big discussion, but just what were some of the games perhaps that really stood out to you on their showcase? I mean, they haven't had one for a while. And I think this one was, I think unless you're you're a very particular kind of gamer, there had to be something that got you excited here. I mean, they obviously, showed off a couple of things that opened our eyes, and it's kind of part of today's discussion, and that's about the exclusives and stuff like that. And every company seems to be doing it one way or another. But let's start with Coolcat Terri. We'll work our way around right down to Scrub. Coolcat, was there anything from Sony Showcase this past week that kind of stood out to you? Like, wow, like that was cool. Can't wait for it to come to Xbox, or perhaps that's a game that would actually make me go and buy a PlayStation kind of deal.
I know. I'm not going to buy a PlayStation 5, but I also didn't watch the PlayStation thing. I just waited for because I figured if anything interesting was going to show up, everyone was going to talk about it, so I would get plenty of it on my feed on Twitter. Mm-hmm. So I know what games were shown. I've seen some of the teaser trailers for that, but honestly, the ones that were shown, the big one was KOTOR, which I never played. I'm not even a Star Wars fan, so that one doesn't hit me anywhere. I'm sorry, I don't give a crap about Star Wars.
Whoa!
I'm a Trek.
I respect that too. I like Star Wars. You gotta remove the cool from your name now.
No, sorry. If they had come out and they said and they somehow were able to sweet talk Activision to bring back Elite Force for Star Trek Elite Force, then I would have freaking fell out of my chair. But no, they brought back more Star Wars stuff, so I'm sorry. They don't really have anything that interests me. God of War we already knew about, so that's nothing special. For me personally, I didn't like the last one, so that's going to be another pass for me. And then I don't care about Wolverine either. I'm sorry. I'm more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan. Mm-hmm. So they had some great stuff that I know people are going to love, but none of it is stuff that I care about. I don't care about Marvel. I don't care about Star Wars. I didn't like the new God of War, so they don't have anything for me right now.
I think isn't that sort of, I guess, and that's the thing that a lot of people struggle with is people always rate these shows afterwards. They're like, oh, that was amazing, or that was crap, or something. Like, it's just like a game. Shows are also very subjective because I guess it depends on what you expect to see, what your expectations are as a viewer. So if you walk into a show and you're thinking, well, I'm hoping they're going to show like SOCOM, or hoping they're going to show something, we build up these expectations in our heads, and then we're either blown away or very disappointed. It's usually very rarely ever in between. Now, let me ask you this, Coolcat, would you say though, at least the KOTOR thing kind of took people by surprise. I think, we've heard rumors that there was a
Definitely.
potential remake for years, but would you say it was a bigger surprise with KOTOR being announced as an exclusive, at least a timed exclusive? That's what I'm hearing. I'm not sure if that's 100% true, or the whole Wolverine thing, which almost isn't a surprise, but it was. It kind of caught everybody off guard, and it's kind of like I said, it's kind of Sony's way of laying down the gauntlet here, saying like, we're really serious about, coming back and hitting you guys in the stomach here as a competitor, and we're going to nail down not only Spider-Man, but now we're going to nail down one of the second biggest, or certainly one of the biggest Marvel properties out there in the Wolverine. So, would you say, like I said, which one was the bigger surprise, essentially, even though you might not be interested in either?
I feel that that's still going to be one of those things where you're a Star Wars fan or a Marvel fan, and if you're lucky, you're both. For me, I think the Star Wars one was the bigger news, because that's such an old game, and I know that kind of has like a cult following. Whenever I hear people talk about like Star Wars games, it's always like SWTOR and KOTOR are the ones they always talk about. So I think that's the bigger one to announce. Because we don't really know how the Wolverine one's going to play out. Like a teaser, we know nothing about how the gameplay is going to be like. I'm sure it's going to be amazing because they do pretty good quality with their stuff, but that doesn't mean it's going to appeal to, and enjoy Spider-Man for what that game does. So Wolverine doesn't fight anything like Spider-Man. So if you're going to be used to that quick flying, swinging around, acrobatic style, you're not going to get that in a Wolverine game. So I feel like you might be a fan of Wolverine, but if you're not into that slower, more muscle style fighting, brawling style, you might get bored. So just because you're a fan doesn't mean you're going to like that play style. You know what I mean? I'm just going to say Star Wars. I think that was the bigger news.
Yeah. Is it official to say now that? Is it official to kind of say that we think that well, basically my question is, do you guys think Insomniac is now going to be relegated to being like the superhero company over at Sony? Like everything they do from here now on is going to have some kind of licensed property? Because I honestly, that's not necessarily bad, but at the same time, well, because they probably have a huge studio and they probably have multiple teams working on stuff. At least I would hope, because with Insomniac, I think they're too talented either to be just relegated to doing stuff that already has its own backstory. Like
the only IP,
but
the only IP Insomniac ever created was Sunset Overdrive. Everything else has been licensed property from someone else.
Not Ratchet and Clank.
That's owned by Sony.
Yeah, but it was their IP though. They're the creators, right?
Yep.
Are they?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I stand corrected then. Or sit correct. I'm going to sit corrected.
Corrected down there. Yeah, so great take on it, Terry, and that's interesting. Like I said, because there you go, guys. She was on the other side of the spectrum where that show didn't get her that excited. Well, this guy's hair looks like it's already standing on end. So, Pong Soul, how did you feel about what you saw? And I got a feeling it's going to be quite different from what Terry just said. Did anything stand out to you on this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The show was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I take every show that I watch in a vacuum. I don't compare them. I don't do any of that garbage. So I just come into it as a gamer looking to be showing stuff that's going to appeal to me. And that show was full of it. Even, the multi-plat stuff hit me hard. And then Sony for me, because I don't have a PlayStation 5 yet, right? I own every system. For people who don't know, who may have not heard me before, last generation I was PlayStation first, Xbox later. This generation I'm Xbox, and I'm going to be getting a PlayStation later. I always own both, but Sony right now has to sell me on the reason why I need a PlayStation. And with this show, they may not have sold me as to why I need one right now. I still don't need one right now. But the future, the hope, the promise that Sony is so good at selling, they did that. Now, they didn't show everything. They saved a lot. There's a lot more going on over there. But what they did give me here was perfect for what I needed to see. KOTOR, out the gate. They could have ended the show right there, and I would have been a happy camper, okay? I'm on the opposite side of Coolcat. Obviously, a big Star Wars fan. KOTOR and KOTOR 2 are two of my all-time favorites. They would be both in my top 10 list all time. And been one of those people clamoring for it to be remade, brought back, redone. And so to see this on the Sony stage was the biggest surprise. We had heard that this was being done. We had heard that Aspire was the actual studio working on it. It makes sense. They have a large portion of the original BioWare team working there. And in fact, many of the original creators of KOTOR are over there. So perfect. But Sony to get this, that's a bully move by Sony. Okay. That's Sony taking a shot at Xbox. Which is a compliment to Xbox. They know Xbox is here to stay in this generation. They are not the Xbox of last generation. Right. Sony gets that. And this was a shot across the bow saying, hey, we're still kings of the hill. Come take the crown. You're going to have to. We're not laying down. We're not just going to hand it to you. We're doing our own thing. We may not be able to match you content for content because of what you guys can go acquire. But guess what? We can still do our little deals. We can still money hat certain franchises that we need to and make an impression. And that's exactly what they did with KOTOR. KOTOR is a huge get. Again, timed exclusive. That's the way I'm understanding as well. But unless it's 3 months or less, it might as well be exclusive to me. I'm going to have a PlayStation 5 to play this game. Okay, period. So that's a sale right there for them. And then, again, the showing by Forspoken. Forspoken was the other game that I've been looking forward to. That is a 2-year timed exclusive. Again, might as well be just exclusive at that point. It doesn't matter. 2 years is a long time. I don't have FOMO. I don't need to play games day one. But when you say 2 years, I need to play it before then. Time. Forspoken is looking absolutely fantastic. They announced afterwards. We find out that Amy Hennig and I just lost his name. Amy Hennig and the guy who wrote Rogue One, Gary Whitta. Gary Whitta are the writers on that game. Sold. Again, I was already sold on what I was seeing, but when you throw both of those in as the writers, I know the story is going to be fantastic. I'm all down. Forspoken was great. And then, of course, I'm not the biggest superhero guy.
Let me ask you this one before you get to your next point. Let me ask you this question, Pom. Do you think that the KOTOR thing was actually in the works long before Microsoft did the Bethesda deal? Because, again, we only saw a tease. We didn't see gameplay. So that leads me to believe that this was probably one of those reactionary measures because of Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda and how much of a sting that was for their side of the fence, I guess, last year. So, what do you think on that?
That's a tough one. This is when I'd love to be on the inside to know how this goes down, because how Xbox, there's big questions on how Xbox would lose out this opportunity to bring KOTOR back when KOTOR is synonymous with the OG Xbox as an exclusive. It's crazy to me that this went under the radar, that people didn't know this was happening, and that Phil, would not make a bigger offer to make sure that this didn't happen. But again, we don't know how this all goes down. Right. I think it definitely could have been something that Sony pulled out of the bag when the ZeniMax deal went down, when they realized they weren't going to have Starfield anymore. They really wanted Starfield. We know that they were trying to get that exclusivity for themselves on Starfield. So when that fell through, when ZeniMax acquisition was announced, I would not doubt that they had this on the back burner and turned to Aspire and said, hey, look, how do we make this happen? Knowing that this could be a good counter punch, not on the same level, but again, with enough fandom out there for KOTOR that this could be something that, again, it's a bully move. It's a counter punch, whatever you want to call it, to say, hey, okay, fine. We lost out there. We're coming back with KOTOR. I definitely think that could have been a possibility for sure. Okay. So my final point, I guess overall, I'm not the biggest superhero guy. Fox ruined it for me with what they did to my beloved X-Men. I am an X-Men guy, have been since, but I'm an uncanny X-Men guy. So what Fox did to X-Men ruined it. So until hopefully Disney and Marvel can fix it at some point, we know they're going to introduce the mutants down the road to the MCU. We'll see what they do with them. If they fix it, great. I'll be back in again. But the announcement of Wolverine, again, surprise, love it. Insomniac has proven themselves. Insomniac is Sony right now. They are PlayStation right now. Without Insomniac, PlayStation would be, I would call them trouble, but they would be a little lackluster at this point if they didn't have Insomniac. Happy to see them get the Wolverine franchise. Wolverine being one of my favorite characters. The only thing is, this better be a mature rated game. If they try to go PG with Wolverine, and again, from the trailer, we can see, bar setting, bodies laying everywhere. Those are not unconscious people. Those are dead people. Bloody knuckles. I'm really hoping that they'd go that route because I want to see Wolverine slicing and dicing. I don't want to see him knocking people out with his claws and having, the Z's over people's heads like they're going to wake up. That's not what Wolverine's about here. But yeah, no, great show overall. Again, even the third party stuff, Tiny Tina's Wonderland showed fantastic. We've already seen it, but the new trailer just was fantastic. A Borderlands fan, didn't like Borderlands 3. Tiny Tina's Wonderland said, hey, come back, okay? Because I love Tiny Tina, and that even showed fantastic. Project Eve, again, Sony's connection to the East. What Phil and his team are trying to do is make inroads to the East. Sony already has those relationships. That Project Eve looked amazing, and that's coming from a Korean developer. So again, showing off those relationships that Sony already has established. That's another big thing they do. They obviously do it with Square Enix very well. Overall, love the show. Great show. That's where I'm at with it. They did what they needed to do to sell me. So
you a little run. Go on. Darn cats, they're everywhere. I'm trying to sabotage my show here. All right. Great take on that, man. Sorry for the distraction. That was awesome. Let's get into, we'll find out what Axel thinks. Acknowledge the chat once again, because the Mag is in the chat. I can see him here right now. What's going on, Mag? Casket Repair hanging out with us this morning. Dreadpool is here as well. We've got Happy Cloud Gamer is hanging out with us. What's going on, brother? Matty Burns is in the house. Good to see you, Matt. Who else came in here while we were chatting away here? We've got I think we got Dirk Griggity from the We Bleed Green podcast is here. What's going on, Dirk? Good to see you, my brother. How are you this morning? Cyber Gunter's in the house. Invader Gaming for the TXR podcast here as well. So we got some prestige up in this house. What's going on? Good to see everybody here. Great crowd already, bright and early. Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. Toffee, you keep your hands away from that power button, you little bugger. He keeps putting it back. Stop it.
They learn.
You gotta putting catnip all over your keyboard, man.
Yeah, jeez Louise, man.
Get the spray bottle, Newf. Get the spray bottle.
Put it down on the ground.
Oh boy. Yes. All right. Anyway, Axel, chime in on what you thought about the show. Was there anything there that got you excited or potential? He keeps putting it right now on that power button. Toffee, that's it. Last warning. You're going down if you don't. All right, go ahead.
So real quick, I did do a full reaction to every game that was shown on my channel. I put the link in the chat real quick. Check it out if you guys want to see my reaction to every single game. Although Grand Theft Auto 5 was removed because they copyright striked me over visuals because I used their trailer, not even actual gameplay. It's so weird. Okay, whatever. Anyways, so I'm just going to talk about what I'm hyped about, and we'll get into what I'm salty about later. Was it safe to say
that was the one game that was shown off that everybody was just like, okay, dudes, we've seen this already. Enough of this now.
I think so.
One of a couple, yeah.
I had to kind of hype it up, like more action, enhanced graphics. Like, dude, you made 4 or 5 versions of this game already. You're like, let it die, please.
Come on, man. It's the native port. Anyways. So obviously I'm excited for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I played the original 2 and still have my original 2 to this day, and it's amongst the greatest stories, Star Wars stories ever told in any media. I don't care what anybody says, fight me. All right. Fight me, Terry. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not gonna fight you because it doesn't impact me, man.
But they don't have the Borg. They don't have the Borg. So
I will elbow drop you right now.
Fight.
Anyways, Project Eve looks awesome. It reminds me of one of my favorite games, and say it with me, Terry, of all time, Bayonetta.
Yep.
It reminds me of Bayonetta, that fast-paced action kind of style, Devil May Cry. I love that. And it looks fantastic. Like the visuals on it look fantastic. Now, the Borderlands Tiny Tina, I'm not really into Borderlands, but I am a fan of Baby Metal. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they were playing a song about how delicious it is to eat chocolate and how much I like to eat chocolate, to killing everything, It's hilarious to me. Just side note, right?
Well, that is the most interesting take we're going to have all morning, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the song they chose. They chose Baby Metal, right? And it's these bunch of little teenage girls talking about how much they like to eat chocolate. And they played it to killing. Good choice there, Take Two. But, take down my Grand Theft Auto. Anyways, Forspoken, I hate the premise for that game. Pass. Let's pass to everything else. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm actually looking forward to. I know you only play as Quill in that game, if I'm correct on that one. I think that's what I heard. You can only play as Quill. And that's going to be interesting, but it might lead to better, more cinematic gameplay than the Avengers was. And also, I hope the AI on it is really smart. Skipping. What else do I got? Marvel's Wolverine is basically going to be the Witcher in the Marvel's universe. He slices people up just like the Witcher. He has enhanced senses just like the Witcher. So yeah, there we go. That's my hot take. It's probably actually going to be better, but I'm just hot taking it right now. And of course, one of the GOATs, God of War Ragnarok is coming out. I am actually looking forward to this game. A lot of people are down in this game because, it looks like the 2018 version. And I'm like, the 2018 version looks phenomenal. I don't know what anybody's hating on this
That's
for.
not a bad thing, right?
What do you expect when they said cross-gen? That's what I don't understand. Like, what did you expect? I get it. Looked gorgeous, like you said. So I don't know what.
And the gameplay, if it's going to be more of the same, it's not. They're going to do some quality of life improvements. From what I've taken on the video game industry, if the first one is good, the second one is better. It's the third one you got to worry about. So the fact that they're going to do Ragnarok, and if you know the Norse history of Ragnarok, it should be very, very Avenger-esque style of confrontation at the end if it actually happens. So yeah, I can't wait to play God of War Ragnarok in 2025 when it finally comes out, probably. So that'll be when I get it. But all these games are great. I enjoyed the PlayStation show. They definitely did hype up people to get a PlayStation. They did their job, and some people are probably going to be willing to pay those scalper prices this holiday. Not me, but some people.
Yeah, no doubt.
Overall, I liked it. I liked everything. I liked a lot of what I saw.
Good.
And got some information.
All right. Well, let's find out what the next gentleman thought about what he saw. And I would really like to know the first question for Cerebral Paul. What did you think of the new take on Thor that we haven't seen before? Finally, some of us chubby set guys can have a cosplay character that we can actually make work for us fairly well, as Rod Ferguson pointed out. Yes, now I can go take my shirt off inside of a Comic-Con now and act as Thor.
Yeah. Thor looks like he's been hanging out in front of the meat tent too long.
Oh man. Go ahead,
I didn't watch the show. I was more interested in the reactions.
Right.
I'm glad KOTOR's coming back, and it is coming to PC as well as PS. So that's a moot point for me. I'll get it day one on PC. I'm happy. I think it's funny for me though, because a lot of the same people that just last week were screaming, "I'm so tired of remakes and remasters," are jizzing themselves over KOTOR.
They're all frauds, Paul. We know this. They're all frauds.
Yeah, these are the same people, and I'm like, what the hell?
Right.
I mean, I'm glad it's coming too, but I've always made a point that I don't mind remakes and remasters if they're done well. I'm not one of the ones going, "I'm tired of this. They need a new IP, original IP. Oh wait, it's KOTOR. Screw that. We need KOTOR. Yeah, that's good."
And at least in KOTOR's defense, the game came out on the original Xbox, which means it's over 20 years old, which, could warrant an actual remake. Not like some of these games getting remakes and remasters that are not even 10 years old. Like the stink's not even gone off them, and they're remaking them already. That's
Uncharted.
Some of them aren't even 5. Some of them aren't
exactly.
even 5 years old. You can, somebody's here.
Ding dong.
I don't know what that was.
I'll be back.
UPS.
All right. The other ones and Pong kind of made mention of this, all the Wolverine and stuff that's coming out. You're looking at a year or two down the road for most of that stuff.
Right.
So
3, 4.
This isn't going to be an instant boon to PS5 sales. You know, it's not like everybody's posting like it's the end of Xbox. They need to do something. I'm like, why? They have 4 or 5 years to do something. I don't feel threatened by this at all.
No.
You know?
Gotcha.
You know, plus, I mean, I would be interested in the Wolverine game. That's probably
Sure.
about it.
Okay.
And as far as the other stuff, you know, it looks good. I mean, I'd be interested in it, but nothing to me. I mean, great show for them. They needed a show like this after the last few things they've done. But I don't think it's the Microsoft killer that a lot of the posts that I'm seeing are making it out to be. That's all I really feel about it. And I'm not saying that because I'm an Xbox fanboy. I'm just saying that based on, like I said, we're talking 3-4 years down the road. We're talking.
You're going to be sad tomorrow, Paul, when they close up shop and sell off all their studios, man. I don't know if you heard. They're dead.
But they're back on the block. But they're back on the block.
Tryhard fan in the chat makes a great point too. No one really hates remakes or remasters, just haven't found one they love yet. And the other side of the coin is just try to use it as part of the console war narrative, as opposed to being honest about how they feel.
I understand that, but it still struck me as funny that a lot of the people that were a week ago screaming, we don't want any more remasters, or drooling over KOTOR.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, okay, some of us do have longer memories than yesterday. You know,
that is true. Great.
So I mean, great show for them. It'll be interesting to see what comes of all of it. Just to answer one thing, do I think that Xbox needs to come up with an answer? Not right now. I mean, and nothing says they have to do things the same. You know, we have Bethesda, we have Starfield, we have all that stuff. They have superheroes. Great. And superheroes are a great draw to the common crowd, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking 3-4 years down the road.
Sure.
Hopefully by then the PS5 will work great. So,
yeah. Well, all good? Because if not, I'll jump in while Scrubs is away here. I'll try to keep it short and sweet on my part. Look, I love the show. It was a great return to form for Sony. However, you know, they kind of went back to the well like they did a few years ago, you know, where people were kind of saying, well, yeah, they're showing us lots of great stuff, but we don't see firm release dates. It's a ways out, you know, that sort of thing. So I think they're kind of going back to that same thing where they don't really have anything to concretely show, but they're trying to keep that interest drummed up. They're trying to keep the hype going, because they know, really, like, to be honest, the hype has really been in Microsoft's corner for the last, couple of months in particular. Almost ever since the Bethesda thing, it's been a lot of Microsoft announcing this, announcing that, and something else. And that's partly due to the fact that Microsoft's actually shown up and actually had shows in their defense. You know, whether it's Gamescom or the E3 stuff, that Microsoft's been visible. They've been very active on social media. We haven't really seen so much from our competitor, but I think they had a great show. There's no doubt about it. You know, the God of War thing, look, I was totally impressed. I was blown away. The only reason people weren't as enamored with God of War was just because, again, we've already seen it. Like, if that was the original, like, if we hadn't seen the original 2018 God of War, we'd probably reacted totally different to this one, and we'd have been like, wow, that is really next gen. But that's a testament to how good the 2018 God of War actually is. That it stands on its own back in 2018. It still looks damn good today. So that, I think, is why. And honestly, like, I saw the scope and scale of the new one on a new level. Like, it absolutely blew my mind. But as far as the other games, Forspoken was definitely the one that caught my eye. It definitely looked like it was built on new hardware, featuring lots of special effects. Again, great, character design and stuff like that. And that was the one that caught my attention. The KOTOR thing is really cool. It kind of sucks, again, that it is at least a timed exclusive, and probably going to be, like Pong said, maybe 2 years at best, if we ever see it. We're still waiting on the Final Fantasy remake. That was supposed to come out for Xbox. I think because Sony extended that new deal with the newer version or whatever, I think that also helped carry that on even further. But the way it is for me, I am a multi-console owner, pretty much have been ever since. So a lot of this stuff doesn't bother me as the same as it would for anybody that's only a single console owner, and that's all they're planning to have is that one console. Not everybody has a PC and a console. Some people are just, again, they just own the one console. So if you are just a single console owner and that's the only way that you can roll, some of these announcements really do suck. If you're a multi-console owner, it shouldn't really be a big difference as to where you play, as long as you get to play that game. Like for me, I'm not going to sit around and wait 2 years. Like Kenna, it's supposed to come out for Xbox. I can't wait to play it, but I'm not going to wait to play it on PlayStation. Same thing was true of Ninja Theory's Hellblade. Hellblade was out on PlayStation long before it ever came to Xbox. And you know what? I just bought it on PlayStation. When it came out for Xbox, I bought it again. And something tells me I will do the same thing. I'll probably double dip when those games finally do show up on Xbox, just because that's the kind of person I am. But I thought it was an impressive show. Like I said, Forspoken was big. I loved, like you said, that Project Eve game looked absolutely dynamite to me. Again, had that Bayonetta sort of feel to it, mixed with some Devil May Cry and a few other genres. Some really crazy enemy types in there. All that stuff. So that's another game that really caught my eye. That looks really, really cool. So, like I said, it was a good show, and that's going to bring it. Well, before we get to the next topic, we will bring in Scrubnurse to find out how he likes it. The whole Tiny Tina thing and that game, I don't know. Like, just to me, it's like some of those games I couldn't care less for. Maybe I'll play them, but they didn't really get me all that excited. Outside of that, I mean, I don't think there was. Well, Spider-Man 2. Let's talk about that one. I mean, looks and we just basically we didn't really see actual gameplay. It was just again CGI kind of stuff, like pre-rendered scenes. But the fact that Insomniac is doing Spider-Man 2, got Wolverine in the works, they got a lot of stuff coming. Very talented studio, big high hopes there, so pretty excited for that. Obviously, I can't wait for the next Spider-Man game, and I think Insomniac is, well, at this point in time, has stated that it will be for the PlayStation 5 only, not a cross-gen title, so that should be interesting. But let's also not kid ourselves. We've heard this lie before, haven't we? So let's not
wait till 3 months before release.
Yeah, we've heard that lie before. You never know. Like, it's very hard to turn your back on 100 million plus PlayStation users that still may have a PlayStation 4 or haven't migrated. And with PlayStation 5s, I don't know when they're going to be readily available, but something's got to give here soon. I mean, we're closing in now on a full year since the console came out, and people are still struggling to find one. I know that's largely due to manufacturing, probably more so than any other factor, but you can't buy games for a console if you can't freaking find one. That goes for both companies. I don't know what they got to do, but I guess there isn't much they can do, because the manufacturing plants are all overseas, and if they're shut down, they're shut down. Again, being a sporting goods retailer, I know that our distributors and our suppliers, most of those manufacturers have been shut down for several months, and that's just something simple like sporting goods. I'm not even talking about complexities of gaming, which is probably on another level. But again, it was a great show by Sony. Like, I'm glad they came out swinging. And let's get over and find out what Scrub felt about it. Sure, there had to be a few games on the radar.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make quick. Sorry about that. Had somebody come in at the door. I need to put a sign outside saying recording.
Okay,
But
just to address something in the chat. Yes, okay, Albert, it was in game, whichever. I apologize. But you know what I'm saying. It wasn't like they weren't showing the actual gameplay on the ground, like the combat. It was
right.
It was just kind of like rendered scenes, that sort of stuff. So.
And that's one of my things. I'll give you the kind of things I didn't like, and then I'll go into the things that I did like.
Go ahead,
kind of what you were saying, Newf. For so many people to jump on Xbox and then vice versa, which this has been a big thing for a while, is, oh, look at all these CGI trailers, all these in-game trailers. I want to see actual gameplay. We can say the same thing about this PS showcase. So that's one. Another thing that I didn't like, there were a lot of great games that I did like it go, well, by the time I get my PlayStation 5, this is what I'm going to enjoy, because I'm in 4 right now. We didn't see dates. There was not many games that had dates on it. There was a few, but most of these you can tell, just like we've done with a bunch of God of War trailers, other games. We show a name, we show a little bit, and then whenever they decide to announce it. So I can't get too hyped for like a Wolverine game when it might be 4 more years or before it comes out, because you just don't know. Also, when we're not saying whether this is going to be a PS5 exclusive. I know Jim Ryan is saying we're going to deal with at least PlayStation 4 for 3 to 4 years. So we've already done 1 year. So at least have 2 to 3 more years. So we don't know if they're going to be cross-gen or exclusive. I know we will get that down the line, but that's something that's in the back of my head because what they've done before not being upfront, whether it's going to be exclusive to the new console or cross-gen. So now let's kind of get to the things that I do like. I did enjoy seeing the chance that there is a Wolverine game coming. It is looking like Insomniac is carrying a lot of the workload for PlayStation. It looks like Sony is trying to be here's the console if you want to play Marvel games. So I did like that. Project Eve to me looked like Bayonetta, and it's third person, so there's plenty of chances where you can just stare at her walking from behind. That's all I said. To me, that just looks like all the weebs. Well, this is a perfect game for them because they won't have to fight at all if they don't want to. They can just sit and stare and watch her walk. So yeah, so that didn't appeal to me at all. Spider-Man 2, all about it. Wolverine, all about it. KOTOR, it's one of those things I would love to see it remastered. It's kind of one of those things where Forspoken is 2-year exclusive. To me, anytime you get a 2-year exclusive, the zeitgeist and in the minds of a lot of players with so many games coming out, you might as well call that exclusive. Kind of like Pong says, nobody is going to sit and wait for 2 years. There'll be a few people, but to me, that's pretty much exclusive. If you want to play the game, get it done, knock it out, you're going to play it on PlayStation. Nobody who really wants to play that game is really going to wait, to me, 2 years. So I count that as exclusive as well. God of War Ragnarok. I enjoyed what I saw. It is early. There are some things as far as visuals that I didn't like that I didn't think was all the way up to par. But like I said, it's early. So what they showed for an early build, I enjoyed it. How much of it is going to be its own standalone game versus add on to what been already played? I hope it's not the Miles Morales version of Spider-Man. That's what I don't want it to be. God of War is a great game. The visuals are great. I have fun being immersed in the game. I don't want this Ragnarok to come out and it's a 5-hour, 6-hour game and you're running into is more of add-on or is it exclusive? Right. But it looks great. So I'm definitely looking at Tiny Tina. Me with Borderlands, I enjoyed especially 1 and 2. The more has been coming out, like the Handsome Jack when that starts coming out, to me it's been on a little of a decline. It's almost turned into cut and paste where we'll add this one little feature to say it's different than the last game. So with me and Tiny Tina, I'm almost like the next Borderlands game. By the time it comes out, will I enjoy it? I might. But right now, nothing's telling me, yeah, I gotta go try that game. Forspoken, right now, I'd have to see more. The story, what I'm seeing from it, that's just not appealing to me, and that's just because it's me. Anything I say right now is coming from a basis of me as a gamer, what I like. I'm not trying to speak of as everybody's players, not as Xbox Nation. I don't do all that stuff. It's just what's good for me. Rainbow Six Extraction, that's no. Alan Wake remastered, yeah, it's a remaster. We will talk about that later. No. GTA, yes, GTA. How many times you gonna make it look better? You're not adding anything that makes me want to buy GTA. Ghostwire Tokyo, no, it's not my style of game. So there's games coming out. Guardians of the Galaxy, like I said, that is a game that's releasing with Xbox as well. If it is anything close to what the Marvel Avengers game is, I'm not going to be excited. So I'm just going to have to see when this game comes closer out, when it's October 26th, whether I want to buy it or not. The Blood Hunt game, not interested in. It looks okay, but the concept of vampire on vampire faction, but no, I maybe if you did something else, but vampire on vampire, not it. Deathloop looks like a good game. Like we know that it's coming eventually. I'd rather wait to get that on the Series X than buy the PlayStation 5. Because right now, most of the games that I want to play on PlayStation 5 that I'm like, I gotta have the 5 to play it are coming later down the road. So Uncharted, Lost Legacy, for announcing that coming to PC, why haven't they announced? Maybe I've missed it. Why in the Nathan Drake collection PC yet? Is it? I'm not sure if anybody knows. Why would you say we're gonna put this? Yeah, why would you put this out first for PC, but not the Nathan Drake collection?
That was a head scratcher. That one for sure was a head scratcher.
If you're gonna put these games, which not, it didn't just come out. Let me get this right. It did not just come out, but Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, you need to have that on PC. If you're not going to have that last year, you need to have that coming along with all of these games. A lot of people on PC, we're going to skip all the story and jump to these, but miss out on the ones that came before. So that kind of, I didn't understand why that is. I would rather have a remaster. Like you said, we've already came out with the Nathan Drake collection. Of course, PlayStation, when you go to the next generation, all their mainstay games get remasters. So this is just another one in the box. I know I'm going down the whole list. I'm about to stop in a second, but that Kid Amnesia virtual exhibit, I have no clue what that is, but I love Radiohead. The second I heard the song, I'm sitting here in the right place. Oh
yeah. I was like, what game has this? I'm like, whoa, somebody pulled out Radiohead on their trailer. I'm like, oh my God, I'm already pulled. And then I'm like, wait, what? It's a Radiohead? It's supposedly like an interactive art kind of deal. Right. So I have no idea. That's crazy.
And then Wolverine, of course, Gran Turismo, that's really one of the few that had a date on it. I'm still waiting to see Forza. It looked good. So if you're in racing and you're a PlayStation only fan, this is right up your alley. I think looking at it, you can see there is a lot of borrowing from Horizon as far as your waypoints and go to here and there. I did notice that. So a lot of people saying Gran Turismo is the GOAT, and it is the grandfather of all modern racing games. I will give that. I used to play it a lot, but for them to be the grandfather and the GOAT, they are taking a lot from the current GOATs to me, which is Horizon and Motorsport. So that's just me. That's what I got on it. It was a pretty good show. Overall, if you say, ooh, what you gonna rate it? I'll give it a B+, easy. And that's based off the games I want. There's a lot in the middle that I'm not really caring for, but a B+ for sure. And that's what I got.
I have a question real quick. It came up in chat. Since I didn't watch the show, did PS Plus, PS Now come up at all?
No.
No.
Wow.
Not at all.
That really does surprise me. I mean, given the shape of things.
Like there was a lot left out too. Like I said, there was no mention or there was nothing about VR, either the old VR or the new VR. Like there's a lot of different things. Like I said, I'm sure they could show, and perhaps they're saving it for another show. They wanted certain titles to be front row and center. Like I said, I think what they showed off the other day did exactly what they wanted it to do. A couple of surprises. I think the one takeaway that I was a little mostly shocked was like there was no acquisition kind of announcements or things like that. I know because everybody keeps expecting them to officially say, Blue Point's part of our entourage or whatever, that sort of thing. So some of that. And let's not forget from a Microsoft perspective as well that we do have exclusivity to Indiana Jones, right? So people are kind of dismissing it now, but that was a pretty big and bold move on Microsoft's part. So maybe Microsoft moves perhaps in a similar direction with maybe different properties. Maybe they go after more movie properties. For example, I've heard lots of Xbox fans kind of say, like, wouldn't it be cool if John Wick became sort of an Xbox exclusive or something along that line? So you really never know. And that's going to lead us into our next part of the conversation. And that is about, it's about timed exclusives, and, whether they hurt or hinder essentially. We've kind of already alluded to part of that, I think, in our discussion here, because this was part of it. But that's where we're gonna start. But the whole time, well, Terry, just before we get to that, what about that one game that was shown off here that I thought of you immediately when I saw it shown off at the Sony showcase? That I can't even remember the name, but you will know immediately. Which one?
Chia.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah, the very interesting that art style. I thought of you immediately. It's like that looks like something that Terry would want to play. Did you see? You know what I'm talking about, Terry?
Do not. Like I said, I didn't watch the show. I just waited for like the big things to show up in Twitter, and that was not mentioned. So.
Okay, there was one there, and it looks obviously like an indie game, but you know, a really well done, kind of had that Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild-ish kind of feel. It was a few different things, and
Terry loves Zelda.
You know, yeah.
Hate Zelda.
Well, I don't think it's exactly Breath of the Wild. Boy, Terry's getting slammed by everybody in the show. Doesn't like Star Wars.
Zelda. What else you got here?
It's not that. It's just she's the ultimate nonconformist contrarian. That's all.
Okay. So Silver Shroud in the chat, right? He's saying Indiana Jones exclusivity is not confirmed, and perhaps not. I mean, I don't recall Microsoft saying, you know, it's Xbox exclusive per se, but with Sony pulling this Wolverine move now, this would be the perfect time to be putting that stuff down, because honestly, it's not cool in my opinion if you're gonna go snagging those kind of, because we're not talking about, you know, we're not talking about characters and things that are like sort of always been known to a particular console, right? We're this is not even a KOTOR thing. When you're talking about Marvel and you're talking about comic book properties and stuff like that, or even movie properties, for example, these are universally loved properties. They have never been basically tied into a console. You know what I'm saying? These are either comic or big screen adaptations that are loved by millions of fans. And then when you all of a sudden pull them over, and then basically that would be like a theater chain coming out next year and going, do you know what, guys? The only place you're going to ever be able to watch another Star Wars movie in a theater is if you go to a particular theater. You can't see them at all. The rest of the screens are going to be in this one theater. Now, how do you think certain fans would think about that? Obviously, fans of that particular theater would probably go, that's freaking awesome. But if you go to a smaller theater or a competing theater and you can't watch those movies, yeah, you probably say, oh, we'll watch them at home. But then what if they said, well, yeah, you can watch them at home, but we're going to restrict them to 2 or 3 years after they actually come out in the theater to actually watch said movie. Otherwise, you have to go to that one. Isn't that virtually the same situation? So this is where I think Microsoft's got to look carefully. Yeah, the Bethesda thing is one thing, but that's what I'm saying. Like, Bethesda's deal is not filled with universally loved properties. As much as we love Doom and Wolfenstein and some of those games, we're not talking about things that we've grown up with since we were kids. We're not talking about in Bethesda, I don't think they make one single IP that comes from like a property that they didn't own, essentially. Like I said, Spider-Man is Marvel, Wolverine is Marvel, Batman is DC. Like, these are owned by another company. Sure, Warner Brothers has the, you know, the IP or whatever for the Rocksteady games and stuff like that. But this is where we're going to come to. Like, Microsoft may want something like that if they, and it's, well, oh, because they don't care about selling consoles. Well, we get that, but you know what? It will sell consoles, and the bottom line is it will also sell a crap ton of Game Pass. That is the key, right?
Can I make a point real quick?
Go ahead, yeah.
Indiana Jones is a LucasArts property, as is the one they just announced.
KOTOR?
KOTOR.
No, Star Wars is also a LucasArts property. So I don't see them being divided. In fact, I would be surprised if KOTOR ends up being a 2-year exclusive. I would see maybe a year at most before it goes. And it's not, to me, it's not really exclusive because it's going to PC, so I have that option as well. But because of the fact that they're both owned by LucasArts, I don't see LucasArts making a deal with just one console maker. I just don't see it happening. You know, they've been doing a lot of work with Xbox, by the way, lately. If you look at Game Pass, there's a whole lot of LucasArts owned IPs that have hit Game Pass over the last year to 6 months. So they are working hand in hand with Xbox already.
Right.
So this is I think this is a one-off, and I don't think it's going to be a 2-year exclusive.
Yeah. Well, since we're on that topic, Paul, and you're kind of already leading us in there, how do you feel about timed exclusives in general, for anybody for that matter? It doesn't have to be related to one, but how do you feel about them in general? Are they good? Are they bad? Do you even care? You own a PC, as you said, so it's almost a mute point. But how do you feel? And even if it doesn't apply to you, what do you think about it in terms of the general populace, and how they also reflect upon Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, that sort of thing?
Yep, and it is becoming more of a moot point because even Sony is releasing stuff to PC as well as their console because they know that if they want those titles to make money, that's what they're going to have to do. Especially right now because they can't get the consoles out there. So
Mm-hmm.
But as for me personally, I don't timed exclusives because I have a PC most of the time don't affect me, and the ones that are timed exclusives, especially the ones to Sony, really don't affect me because there's never been, and I'm not, this is not bashing Sony. There has just never been an IP where I went, I gotta play that day one. I still want to play the Spider-Man games, but realistically, watching the gameplay, I know that I'm probably going to be very limited in how well I can play those games. So I'm not going to go spend $500 on the console so I can get a game that I can't play. That's just doesn't make sense to me. If anybody wants to get me a $500 console, I'll yeah.
Well, let me say right now, the only company that is doing exclusives properly, in my opinion, is Nintendo, because basically their games can't be found anywhere outside of their platform.
Yep, that's true. And they have a very specific audience. A lot of the retro gamers and stuff love the Nintendos because
that's why they sell a massive load of consoles.
They rehash the old stuff over and over and over, and always for full price. I mean, who else? That says a lot right there about the Nintendo consumer.
Yeah, it's the perfect exclusive console if you want to, because a lot of the visuals are way down lower than these new consoles. So you play all of the big time games that are PC games that are not coming in Nintendo. So if you are buying a Switch, you are definitely buying it for the 3 main games that come out for that year. That's why their adoption rate is so high, because the only reason you're buying it is to play those 2 or 3 games, Mario Kart or any of the other ones, the Zeldas, those different games. If you're not into those games, you are not buying a Switch. So that's the genius part of it. It's basically like McDonald's is the leader or Coke is the drink leader. Well, I'm Mountain Dew. So I'm going to stick to the people who love to drink this syrupy crap, and then I have some game code so you can play Call of Duty or whatever. And people who love Mountain Dew are going to drink this. And the folks who hate it, we're not worried about the folks who hate it. We just want the folks who like our drink to buy tons of it. And that's what Nintendo's doing.
Absolutely. All right, who wants to jump in on this conversation? Anybody can have the floor on this one. Timed exclusivity. How do you feel about it? Good or bad? Or do you have a specific time range, or does it depend even on the game?
I'm just going to jump in real quick because Xbot just basically stated that point. Xbot said that he's not into timed exclusives. It's a cheap way to have exclusive content for a certain time. Either pay that exclusive bill or let the game go where the devs want it. And I agree with that. I'm also not into exclusive, as you said, of universal IPs, the comic books, the movies, the books, I guess. Non-game art or IP, like Halo being exclusive to Xbox. I fully understand that because Halo, Xbox basically is Halo. Kratos and God of War being exclusive to PlayStation, I totally agree to that, and I understand it because they created it. And they nurture it and they take care of that. All that good stuff. The first party stuff I'm okay with. It's as you said, the beloved franchises that I'm not into. When, what was it? Ultimate Alliance 3 was exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, I bought it on the Switch, but I was a bit upset that it was only on Nintendo Switch because we got Ultimate Alliance on Xbox 360 and Ultimate Alliance 2 as well. When Spider-Man became exclusive to PlayStation, now, I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. I could really care less about Spider-Man. I just, I'm not impressed by Spider-Man in the slightest at all, right? So while it it didn't affect me in any way. I was like, well, that's some BS, man. Spider-Man should be on everything, as all the previous games have been. So that's the way I feel about exclusives is, the first party exclusives should definitely be exclusive. And if they're not, that's also fine. I'm not really into it. To me, the new exclusive is Game Pass. Is it on Game Pass? Because that to me feels more exclusive than anything else because I benefit the most from that as an Xbox owner. And in reality, that's what exclusive content is what are you doing to move people into your ecosystem? And to me right now, the number one exclusive out there is Game Pass. Nothing has moved me more into an Xbox ecosystem as much as Game Pass has. If a game is available everywhere, but hey, I get it on Game Pass, it feels like an exclusive to me because hey, that's part of my ecosystem. So yeah, Indiana Jones. I don't care if it's on every console as long as it's on Game Pass. That's my take.
And
did they have a fun fact, Newf, real quick? You were talking about movie exclusivities. So it used to be that you could only watch MGM movies at MGM theaters.
I was going to point that out too in the old days of the studios.
So
that's the way it worked. Yeah.
They were vertically integrated entertainment until I think the FCC ruled it a monopoly, and then they had to release all the movies everywhere. So yeah, fun fact.
That is a fun fact. And but obviously the big thing too that happened before this day and age of the internet and social media and everything else. So things are quite definitely changed. Yeah, it's crazy. But back then everything was physical. You had to go into theaters, you had to buy your stuff on a physical medium. And that's why the industry's changed so much, because there's so many ways to consume content, but everybody's still trying to get you into their services. And we're not talking consoles either. Just if you look at how many subscription services have basically blossomed since Netflix came in, right? Because I say I'm sure there's other people than Netflix, but Netflix is the ones that really woke the industry up. They're the ones who kind of snuck in the back door, took it by storm, and even down Blockbuster Video. When you take down a series of massively successful movie chains like that, damn well like the industry is in trouble somewhere. Like something's definitely going down, right? And Disney's in there now, and Amazon, everybody's doing their subscription. And you see this all the time now. Everybody's making their own content. If you can't license it, you make it. And this is the one thing that people say with Game Pass. I'm starting to hear this, Game Pass fodder kind of deal, right? Well, let me wake you guys up to something. You can't have every single game that comes to Game Pass can't be a AAA single player, whatever kind of exclusive style game, because it's not going to work that way. Games are not the kind of thing that you can pump out every 3 months. Okay. Like that's the thing. These games now take time in order to sort of fill the gaps between, say, a 5 years for this Halo or 5 years for a Gears or 5 years for something else. You got to fill it with content, because otherwise you lose subscriptions. You're going to lose people. And when people say, yeah, Game Pass is going to have a lot more decent games or average games, you're damn well sure they're going to have it. You think Netflix got all absolutely award-winning shows? They cancel almost as many as they make, because they have to have content. They have to keep throwing darts at the board, and they can't stop. That's the thing people have to realize.
Can I throw something at that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Disney Plus is a great example of that. Because when they first started, it was Mandalorian. Everybody went, "Ooh, cool, Mandalorian!"
Yeah.
And then as soon as Mandalorian was over, those subscriptions chopped off. So they learned real quick, we've got to keep all year round introducing new stuff.
Preach it.
New big bangers, and that's what they've been doing. There's not a time in the year now that you cannot hit Disney Plus and not see something new, a lot of it Marvel related, that is hitting the channel.
Yeah, the longest you wait is about 2 weeks. That's about the longest you wait, and the next one's out. That's right.
But the law of averages will say that, if you make 50 games, at some point you're going to have a couple of those that are going to blow your mind. Like that's the thing. You will have fantastic, successful games. It's just they might not get highlighted as much because they obviously kind of come out surrounded by 40 other games or whatever that's going to be into that gauntlet. Like look, Game Pass's example. You see, like you'll get that big anticipated title that drops like something like The Ascent, and then there's going to be another 20 games that come out around it, perhaps you don't even care about. But the bottom line is it's there and it's content, and that's what's king. Because the moment Game Pass starts going, oh, we went from 15 games down to 2 or 3, is the moment people go, there's just not enough on here for me. And they start looking. Sony plays, like I said, a different game here. They need those big exclusives. They need that timed exclusive because they are content on selling consoles, because that's the way that they've done it. And that's the way they continue to do it. They're focused on that, and they make great games, but they don't come out every day either. So what do you do in the meantime? You have to rely on third-party support, and they still don't have a system in place that rivals Game Pass. Not at this point in time. If it was, we'd see PlayStation Now will be much bigger than it is, but it isn't. Why is that? Because again, content, they don't have enough of it, and they don't offer the same value. That is simply plain fact right there. Otherwise, we'd see as many people preaching about PlayStation Now as we see people preaching about Game Pass. But why? I just summed it up for you. But anyway, not to get off track. Who else wants to talk about time exclusivity here?
I'll go next. It's for me. I've always been against time exclusives. They just don't make any point outside of just benefiting a solo company. They don't benefit there's always that argument, well, if you're a big enough fan, you'll just get the platform and play it there. Now, there may be a handful that might do that, but majority do not. And then by the time it does come to the other platform and those fans get it, the hype is already gone. So then they might not even bother. So you're killing the sales, in my opinion, on those games. A great one for me is Tomb Raider. When they started the new Tomb Raider trilogy. The first one was an Xbox time exclusive for like 2 years. And I remember the Tomb Raider fans on PlayStation were completely heartbroken and very, very upset that they had to wait before they could play it. The new Tomb Raider. And by the time, and then I remember when
1 year though, wasn't it 1 year?
Might have been 1 year.
1 year.
I remember, and even in that year's time, I remember that when PlayStation 4 finally got it, there wasn't really any hype.
No,
it was already dead. Everyone's like, yeah, we've been there, done that, don't care anymore. And especially nowadays, most games die within 3 months, especially single player ones. So like no one's going to care about a game after 3 months. So it's not good. It's not a good thing to do. So just if it's something that you just everybody, let them enjoy it. You'll get as many sales as you can right off the bat versus letting it the hype level die down and then your sales. Try to get that big hurrah in there right away at the start.
Time exclusives for me, it's one of those things where you have to keep your same energy both sides. If you're going to be Xbox, if you're going to be PlayStation, like I said, a lot of times these time exclusives, if you got PC, you're good. If it's one of those games, a lot of people are going, oh, Xbox, you messed up. You let KOTOR go to PlayStation. You let PlayStation get this game. They don't own the IP and they don't own the people who make the game. So it's part of business. If another business gives you a better deal, people will jump from China. It's the same thing with them getting Bethesda. Bethesda was with everybody. Xbox made a deal with Bethesda. Now Bethesda games are exclusive, even though I know they're not timed exclusive. So a lot of people are using that as console war fodder because like same thing you were saying, Terry, dealing about with Tomb Raider, a lot of PlayStation guys will go, how this is not fair. How do you take this game, which has been venerated and played everywhere, now it's only exclusive? Like you said, the sales weren't that great when it was open to PlayStation, but at the same time, those people don't say a word. They champion it when Call of Duty has exclusive stuff that you can only play on PlayStation, and it'll come to Xbox a year later and they go, look what we have that you guys can't get for a year. So you gotta keep it even on both sides. For them to get KOTOR, that's great. That's great on them. And if I'm not able to get to it at a certain point, then that's just the way it is. A company is going to make something that is great to appeal to the masses, to get you to pull over. It's a little stupid analogy, but I remember in the 90s, you would go to Taco Bell and you could get a Choco Taco as a dessert. Y'all remember those things?
Mhm.
Little taco ice cream with chocolate with waffle
Yep.
cone and everything. I can get a
I'm
choco
hungry.
taco at Walmart or Costco
Yeah.
or whatever. But if I want to go get fast food and get a choco taco, I can't go to Burger King. I can't go to McDonald's. And nobody goes to Taco Bell just to get a choco taco. Guess what? You're gonna get that choco taco, plus you're gonna get a drink. You're gonna get more tacos, burritos, and because we're the only ones that have the choco taco, you're gonna get and buy more stuff that we have. It's a selling point to get you to buy other things in our library. Same thing with Game Pass. So timed exclusive, I can deal with 3 months. A year, most of the time I'm fine with it. When you are doing timed exclusives 2 years, like we were saying, and Pong said it earlier, what's the point? To me, it's an exclusive because nobody is waiting to play that long. Also, like the Final Fantasy was supposed to be what a year exclusive. Well, it's been past that year. It's still not on Xbox, so maybe PlayStation is paying them more to keep it going. And if that's the money that you're going to spend to keep your fan base like that, that's fine. Like I said, it's all fair games when it's coming to business. But as a general, is timed exclusives for the gamer? No, it's for business, but it is for the gamers who have that company is already getting their money, because it's another reason to get you to stick with us. Don't leave. We have this coming. We have this coming. If you like this game, it's only going to be here, and you're not going to ever say, well, this console is good, but this console has better visuals. This next game is going to both of them. Which one am I going to buy it?
Yeah.
I might go with the one with the better visual, but if the one that is maybe less visuals, I'll stay with it because it's exclusive here. And that goes whether it's Xbox or PlayStation. You have your perks either way. But I think a lot of this stuff, as long as it's PlayStation exclusive, everybody goes, okay, fine. And then you have some people go champion it. But if it's an Xbox exclusive, there's more uproar. Like when Tomb Raider first came out, there were people yelling and screaming, when is this coming to PlayStation? Where the devs had to right after they announced it was exclusive, the devs came out a week, maybe 2 weeks later saying, yeah, it's coming to PlayStation as well, guys. Which I think is ridiculous. But that's about marketing, and that's PlayStation has the mind share when it comes to that stuff. Because when we watched the PlayStation show came out, could you tell which ones were exclusive to PlayStation, which ones weren't not? They make sure that you have no way.
They're very careful about that. Yeah.
Yes. Xbox, they'll sit there and tell you, time exclusive, but which is fine either way. But PlayStation makes it where that Guardians of the Galaxy game, guess what? It's coming on Xbox at the same time as PlayStation. But if you watch that PlayStation show, you would have never known it. So it's just there's little subtle things. You might have PlayStation at the end of the trailer, but if you didn't have, if it was going to both consoles, it didn't just have PlayStation on there. They might have took PS off of it. So I think that's just great marketing. One team is a little better marketer than the other one.
Yep.
I gotta just try our.
Let me throw in real quick.
Go ahead, Paul.
Go ahead. I've been saying for about a year now, and some of you can attest to this, that exclusives don't carry the same weight with this generation as they used to.
That's true.
I don't think they carry as much weight to, I got to have that console because of this one game. I think it's becoming a much broader picture that Game Pass is playing into and other services. So I don't think they carry as much weight as they used to. And I've been saying that for a year.
I think if there's 3 games right now that if you made it an absolute exclusive, they would be absolutely huge. I'm talking like jaw-dropping, like bombs in the industry. And I'm going to name these titles out and you can disagree with me to like. But if Call of Duty goes exclusive, if Grand Theft Auto goes solely exclusive, and if Fortnite goes solely exclusive, those 3, because they're so big and they're multi-plats, if any company signs one of those, even for 2 years as a timed exclusive, it will, I'm not saying game over, but it will be like an industry wake-up call. It will be an absolute massive bomb.
Wasn't GTA an exclusive when it first launched? Wasn't
Call of
too
Duty, they would
damaging.
only have to do 1 year because they only last for 1 year.
That's
what they
that's
did.
enough.
That's what they
Yeah,
did.
that's
One of the
enough.
games, you can only play one certain mode on PlayStation, and it
Mhm.
was like a 13-month exclusive. So that means
Yeah.
the whole time that you played the game, you missed it if you're on Xbox. It has been done.
Yeah.
Look, with time exclusives, any exclusivity, obviously, in a perfect world for us as gamers, we'd all love to just be able to play everything on one
Mhm.
console, right? I'd love to be able to
Mhm.
buy one thing, one console, one piece of hardware, whatever
Yes.
the case may be, and play everything. Okay, great. We all know this, but again, that's not business. And at the end of the day, again, this industry wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be here even able to talk about this if it wasn't about money. Okay.
Mhm.
If these
Right.
companies weren't making money, this would not exist. So it is straight up business, like you said, Scrub. It is just one of those pieces to the pie. It's not the whole pie. But I think whether we're talking about time exclusivity or we're talking about full exclusivity, it's the same argument that people have trying to say that Game Pass hurts the industry or Game Pass hurts the devs. Look, the devs are not forced to sign these contracts. The devs are not forced to do this. The devs make that decision
Exactly.
for themselves. So it is obviously beneficial, whether, like Coolcat said, whether overall it may hurt the sales, but to get that game out the door, some of these devs need to take that money back. Otherwise, these
Mhm.
games would not even get to that point. So I
Great
think
point.
that that's up to them from their business side of things, from the devs' business side of things, to weigh these options and to weigh whether or not they need to go this route. Who knows? At the end of the day, we might not be getting Knights of the Old Republic without this timed exclusivity, right? Aspire may have needed to make that deal. And for me, as a big fan, and again, this is going to come down to each individual game for that individual person, whether or not it's worth it. Again, for me, Knights of the Old Republic being made, I don't care who makes it. If it was on Nintendo, I don't own a Nintendo. I haven't owned the kids have owned Nintendos, but I have not personally owned a Nintendo piece of hardware since the Super Nintendo. If Knights of the Old Republic was going to the Switch as an exclusive, I would buy a Switch for the Knights of the Old Republic. Now that's
Right.
one game, and that's not indicative of what happens. But what I'm saying is it's a small piece of the overall pie when a gaming company like a Nintendo, like a Sony, like an Xbox decides to go out and make these kinds of deals. And I think it's, again, it's just straight up business. There are certain games, Final Fantasy VII. If I was a huge Final Fantasy VII guy, which I'm not, thankfully, I would already have been out there hunting down, trying to buy a PlayStation 5, right? That's just for me. And again, I don't have FOMO, so I don't need to play day one, but it would be a draw knowing full well that even though that's supposedly a timed exclusive, chances are we ain't going to see it on Xbox until the entire trilogy of Final Fantasy VII is put together in one package. Then we'll probably finally see it. But right now, it's just not an option, and it's not going to happen. That it's going to come to Xbox. Sony's going to make sure of it because it's such a big draw. But again, the dev side of things, like I said, the argument against Game Pass, which is a stupid argument, is the same when it comes to this, in my opinion, because the devs at the end of the day are the ones signing the contract, and they are weighing those options out, and that money has to be right for them. And I think that's the good side of this business. Is that if the devs need that money, that option is available to them to cut a deal like this and get that game finished and out the door, pay their people, keep their doors, lights on, and continue to make games. So it's just one more option in the line of business. And I know we all don't like to talk about this all the time because this is fun in games. This is an industry based upon, started out as a kids completely kind of entertainment, and then slowly transformed into what we have now, which is massive. But I think that this is just one piece of that, and I think that we have to keep that in perspective sometimes, that it is a business, and we have to, if there's more options, better for everybody in the end run. Whether or not overall it's good, hey, we can have that debate. But at the end of the day, it is helping people keep their jobs. It is helping people create. It is helping us as gamers get more content, no matter which way we want to look at it. Yeah, it sucks for the one console owners that have to make decisions. It always will suck for those people that have to be in that position. And I totally understand it. I've been there myself. But overall, I think it is good. So that's where I'm at with it.
Okay. And I'll finish off before we get Coolcat Terri and her indie spotlight because we are running past time. But it's a great discussion. And I'll just simply say time exclusives, they are what they are. We know why they exist. But like you say, once you get into that 2-year territory, it becomes a mute point because you might as well just call it exclusive. Most of us have moved on. We're playing different games. A lot of us will not have time. So unless you're a single console owner and haven't swayed and you want to come back to that, sure. By then, like I said, for Microsoft, it makes sense to just pay the money and have those go straight into Game Pass because they'll get far more traction 2 years after the fact if they're on Game Pass day and date when they drop, as opposed to, well, now you had to buy it for $80 or $90 in the digital store, which will limit its sales because like I said, most of us move on very quickly. This industry isn't like it used to be where we had to wait months between major releases. Now there's so many games coming out on a day today that, again, we're all like we have ADHD video gaming happening with all of us because we move on so quickly. And if you're not the hot commodity, you might as well be dead in the water. You're like, it's a dog eat world out there right now, and things have changed. But every company was built on exclusive. Nintendo and Sega went head to head, and back in the day, mostly on exclusivity.
Exactly.
Then the NES was largely the biggest successor, not because it had the better console in the 80s, because Sega clearly had the better console. That is a fact, but they did well because they had licensed properties that you could not find on Sega's platform. You know that, like WWE and every other thing that was out there, it was on Nintendo. Sega could not get those, and it was a totally different era. I get it, and it was different licensing agreements in place. Back then, Nintendo was very shrewd about how they went to war versus their competitor, but things have changed, and the industry has changed a lot, and I get it. Like I said, for me personally, anything past a year, even a year, like 3 months. First, it was kind of like 3 months, 6 months. Now it's a year. The whole Final Fantasy thing is weird because it was supposed to come to Xbox. I think Sony found a loophole in order to get this game because I think once that PS5 version of Final Fantasy, the remake, whatever they call it, they got some weird name on it. Once that dropped, I think basically now it leaves another year. So I wouldn't even suspect to see Final Fantasy remake on the Xbox platform until Final Fantasy 7 Part 2 drops, probably.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. You know, like I said, and if you guys really are serious about a game and you want it, you're not
buy the console.
You're buying the console. You just shut up and you buy it. You know, but that's exactly what they want. They want to get people in the ecosystem because they know it only takes one game to get you on board, and then they have other games to keep you invested, right? The big games, their whatever, their deals, so on and so forth. And that's how it works. I say, like I said, fight fire with fire. Both companies, there's no company out there right now that's impervious. They've all been sort of doing it on one level or the other. It pisses some people off. It pleases some other people. If you're a fanboy console war kind of warrior, you're probably super excited about it on one end and you're pissed off on the other. Like there's no pleasing everybody. Like I said, if you want a game, you go buy it. Simple as that, or you even buy it twice. You'll buy it on PlayStation and Xbox. You'll buy it on Xbox and then PlayStation. You know, PlayStation fans went out and did buy Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider afterwards. But again, it just doesn't hold the same weight a year after when the hype is cooled down and people have already moved on to other games. And you're like, what game are you playing? I'm playing the latest and greatest. What are you playing? Oh, a game that's like 3 years old. So you're just kind of like, cool, man, cool. We've been there, done that. You know what I mean? Like even from a podcast perspective, you're kind of like we're talking about a game that's now 2 or 3 years old. You're just not into it anymore. You know what I mean? So we get why they exist, and they're not going to go away. As a matter of fact, I think because of the way the ecosystem stands today, with everybody leading to the streaming services and consoles not necessarily being the stepping stone anymore, I think we're just going to see more of them. They're going to get more aggressive, and it's going to be how each person responds. Like I said, obviously, Sony's putting a lot of weight right now into the Marvel thing, and as Tryhard said, that might largely be due to the relationship between the movie studio rights and stuff too. Like that gives them a little bit of leverage going into these deals, and of course, the fact that Insomniac not delivered a fantastic Spider-Man game that sold in droves. That almost was like a sealing the deal kind of deal, because now they go, well, this company knows how to make a damn good game. We're going to trust in them. And we know Insomniac's got pedigree, right? They're probably maybe the best Sony studio. Going forward, you probably can't think of anybody else but them making a game. And something tells me that Wolverine is not their last one. When Wolverine comes out, and if that's hugely successful, You better brace yourselves because I don't think Wolverine, it will stop at Wolverine. Question is, how will Microsoft react? Will they nail down Indiana Jones, or will they move on to something else, get more movie properties or more game properties or comic book properties and put them under their umbrella? Even if it's timed exclusive, it's still a bit of a win. But at the same time, like they got their own. I mean, Halo is obviously a PC Xbox exclusive, right? But again, Halo has always been associated with Xbox. That's the thing. Spider-Man was not always associated with PlayStation. It was associated with Sony movie studios, probably, and Marvel Comics and Sony movies, because Sony has the rights to the movie property, right? So yeah, but you see the difference there? That's the difference. Like where Mario is a Nintendo property. There's nothing you're going to do about that. Nintendo's not going to let Mario go to any other thing unless it's like a cross-license deal like Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games kind of deal. And that's not quite the same thing. But anyway, I'm done talking about this. I think we all are, unless anybody has one final point to make here. Timed exclusives, I said, like overall, they're not definitely pro-consumer. They're pro-publisher. That's what they are, right?
Right. I have one thing which is amazing if you think about it.
Go
What
ahead.
Sony is doing. Sony has the top 2 Marvel characters under their wings. You have Spider-Man, and then if you go under the X-Men wing, you have Wolverine. Those are some big, gigantic draws. That's a great move, I think.
We're going to come back to that topic later. We're going to see, does Microsoft need a superhero game? That's going to be one of our top, and we'll come back to that because we'll get to answer that
I have
in
a
detail.
comment for that. I was about to use it now, but I'll save it for later.
Well, you save it, and you'll be the first guy. So let's get Coolcat Terri in here with her indie spotlight. We will come back to that topic, and Paul will have his first chance to since he's chomping at the bit. Let's get to it. So here we go. Coolcat Terri, the indie spotlight.
All right, everybody, I got another great game this week. This one is a new one that just dropped this month. So instead of focusing on some of the older ones, I said to give you guys a newer one. This one is going to be great for people who like games that are a lot more cutesy. So if you're fans of stuff like Animal Crossing and things on that nature, this is going to be more up your alley. So let me go ahead and show you the trailer real quick, and then I'll talk more about it.
Here we go.
Rated everyone 10 and up.
Kataria sought a hero to travel to Paul Village, make it their home, and lead the fight back. Someone pure of heart, a creative, resourceful spirit. A crafter, an adventurer, a warrior. Someone in possession of a magical spellbook. With a loyal sidekick. A savior who could unite friends into allies. In a land where not everything is always as it seems, the secrets of the lost relics must be discovered, and peace and tranquility restored for all. Nyanza, your quest awaits.
Okay, so
Interesting.
Kitaria Fables. Now, this, like I said, it just came out this month, and it's very, very good. I've been playing with it a little bit, and I've been enjoying it. It's over the top cute, so you're gonna get a cuteness overload for sure playing this game. But if you're into that thing, you're gonna definitely love it. It is a action RPG first. They did, kind of show a little bit of the farm sim stuff in there. Yes, you can do the farming if you want to, but that's not what the game is focused on. It's not like Stardew Valley where all you do is farm. So it is an action RPG first, and that's just a little added little bonus for people that like that. Now, it's on all platforms, so you don't have to worry about it. There's no exclusivity here. So go ahead and grab it on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, PC, mobile. I don't care. Find it, grab it. It's $20 everywhere. Check it out. It's single player, or you can do the couch co-op. So this would be a great game for those of you who are always looking for stuff to play with your kids. If you have younger kids, this is perfect for that. You can get them introduced to the RPG genre, and it's family-friendly content. So go ahead, you can check that stuff out. much it on that. But yeah, definitely check it out. It's great. It's good stuff. It's super cute. And customize your cat character too. You're not locked in on how you look, so you can change if you want alto or a gray cat or whatever. So have fun with it.
Hey, it's got cats in it, so I'm sold. I don't mind cute games as long as they're fun, and that one looks like another fun little game to play. So check that one out, guys. Awesome stuff.
This is part where I couldn't, the cuteness overloads. You know, in RPGs like on this scale, usually you have to go and you have to save. You would usually have to go and sleep to start the next day or whatever.
Yeah.
On this one, it gets me every time because you go to your bed, and then most RPGs, if you think of like your retro RPGs, you just go and sleep in your bed, and that was it. This one, you get in the bed, and then you have to watch the cat roll over a couple times. It's so freaking cute. I can't. I'm like, oh my gosh, overload. But no, it's fantastic. It's
nice. Go check it out. All right. Before we get into our next topic, let's scrub nurse. What do you got on deck first today, sir? If you're ready to roll, maybe some more Game Pass additions and subtractions.
Yeah, I can do that real quick. Let's see here. We're going to share the screen.
Yeah, if you want to wait a few minutes, that's fine. We can come back, but it's up to you.
No, I'm pulling it up now.
Take your time.
Can you see the screen?
You bet. I'm bringing it up right now.
Okay. All right, good.
My cat's sleeping on my mouse. I'm sorry here, guys. Hang on. Isn't that kind of funny? My cat's on my mouse, right? Like literally has his freaking head on my hand right now. Like, dude.
This show is produced by.
Yeah.
Well, what's the name of your cat again? You always say it, but I forget it.
It's Toffee.
Yeah,
This show's produced by Toffee.
I haven't bothered him much just because, you know, like he often isn't like this sooky and loving like a lot of times. So when he gets those moods, I try to just leave him be, you know?
Mm-hmm. So first what I'm going to do is we're going to go to Game Pass Counter. And one last time, guys, for everybody who's dragging their feet and they want to do it, this is your last chance. Forza Motorsport. It's leaving September 15th. That's a couple of days from now. So if you want to get that game and have it in your library, you got to jump on it now because they're going to pull it from the stores on the 15th because all the licensing with the with music, with the cars, companies and stuff, you won't be able to get it after the 15th. So please, I mean, after the 14th, really. It's leaving on the 15th. So please check that out. And then you can see, what'd you say?
$20.
Yeah, $20. And then also
something dollar game, basically. Yeah,
that's right. And for anybody who loves Red Dead Online, if you got your Xbox, it's leaving Game Pass. So you can still get it, but on Game Pass, you're getting it for your monthly subscription that you already have. So why not pull it down if that's what you're interested in? We're going to go to our coming soon list. Like I said, this is just for Game Pass. Origami 2, which is a lot of people are ready to play that. That was the little ninja game. That was pretty good before. We got the second one coming out. We got
Steel and I are actually finishing that one up today.
Oh, really?
Origami game. Yeah, man. It's a great game. If you guys like Tenchu, the old Tenchu days, it's got a lot of those feels to it. It's not exactly the same, but it's got a lot of those feels. It's awesome, especially co-op.
We got Sable. We got Lemnis Gate. And then that's just pretty much what's coming out in this next week or so for Game Pass. So you can see the other games that are coming out. If you want to check out any of these games or see the full list when you have time, just check it out. It's GamePassCounter.com. So I know a lot of you guys probably already have it saved if you've been watching the show any length of time. So that's on GamePassCounter.com. Now we're going to go. This is what I'm pulling from Metacritic, just showing you what games that are coming to Xbox that are not on Game Pass. You can kind of look through some of these that are not big. Some of these might be on your look, but let me get to what I was thinking that a lot of people are waiting on. Like I said, Origami is coming. Tales of Iron. Lost Judgment, which is I think it's the second game. The first one was Judgment, correct? And that's coming September the 21st. World War Z Aftermath, also coming on the 21st. Diablo 2 Resurrected, September 23rd. And then the Prime Evil Collection, with Diablo on the 23rd. We've already talked about Sable, and I don't know if anybody cares about Adam's Family and the Gummies life, but that's pretty much what's coming up next. I know Terry likes racing games. We got Hot Wheels Unleashed. I don't know how fun that's going to be, but that's another racing game they can jump on. We've already talked about Lemnis Gate. Outer Wilds will have Echoes of the Eye coming out. So if you love Outer Wilds, you want to keep playing the game, we got something else coming out.
Try that game. I hated that one.
Yeah. It's one of those things, you either like it or you don't. I've heard there's kind of no in between, but September 28th, be looking out for that. And that's pretty much what we got coming out in the next week or so. But there's definitely a lot more games coming out as we get into the end of the September going into October. So that's all I pretty much have coming out with games that you want to check out. Go to GamePassCounter.com. Also, just if you look on your Xbox app, there's always games that you can check out. If just be on the lookout, it's so much. And the only reason why we're bringing this up, guys, is because there's so many games. Sometimes people can miss them because they're trying to catch up on backlogs and this. There's so many different shows and internet trying to tell you, hey, this new game's out, this new game out. But you have everything in one concise spot, so you can look for yourself and try to figure out what you love and what you not. So we're just trying to do the best we can for you guys because we are a community. That's it.
Absolutely.
There you
and
go.
if anybody's
Once
looking
again-
for a game, if any Metro fans are out there and you guys are looking for something to hold you over until Stalker 2 shows up, don't forget Chernobyl Light is coming out. Another awesome game in that genre. So go check out Chernobyl Light, which comes out September 28th. So great game.
And
a lot of people
wanna...
enjoying Song of Iron right now. So hopefully you guys get a chance to play it and hear nothing but good things for the most part. So
yeah, it's a pretty good game. Mm-hmm.
I also want to once again remind you guys, Astria Ascending is coming on Game Pass here real soon, and a lot of you always go on about how there's not enough JRPGs on Xbox. You've got one coming out, so don't miss it. For those of you that love your JRPGs, you're gonna have one on Game Pass here.
With a dev team that's made up of some of the biggest names in classic JRPG history too. Yes.
Don't miss it.
Out.
Indeed. All right, so some great stuff definitely coming down the pipe. Like I said, man, we are overwhelmed with games. We went from the 80s era of cartridges where they were few and far between to now we're constantly swamped, especially with all the tools being handy to various people. And like I said, the indies themselves, that scene is absolutely massive right now. Like I said, all you got to do is just go check out your store, and it's like it went from being like, I remember when Xbox Summer of Arcade came out, the indie games were very like there was very few, the point where almost every game that came out had some sort of a spotlight because they weren't just being like every week there was some games. And now every time you go to a store, especially when I get on the Nintendo Switch, you get on there and it's like, where the heck did all these games come from? There's like 40 of them in here I've never even heard of. But that's, that in itself is great, but it's also one of the biggest problems I think facing indie devs right now, that they, again, and this is where I think a lot of us podcasters and influencers are starting to make a wave, is that we are that avenue of the voice for them right now, because again, a lot of them get lost in the shuffle. They don't have the big publishing dollars kind of deal to do the big marketing thing. So a lot of us, some of these games almost live and die by, some of the things that we say or how they get out there. And certainly I think Joe would probably say himself, the guy who made Song of Iron, that he seems to be pretty grateful for a lot of the love and support and things that he's gotten from the community with his game, because they definitely help push it to more people. So, and like I said, every week, and I've seen a testament as Coolcat Terri does the indie spotlight, and I've legitimately seen, including myself, people go out and buy those games after she's done this. So that's a huge boost for them. So, we're a very small platform. We don't reach that many people, but still, sale is a sale, word of mouth, good, the good vibe, that sort of thing. And I think that's huge and very important. But getting off topic there.
Was there a topic? I always lose track.
I know. And the show goes fast. Let's get into, I guess, our second big topic, which sort of segues off of what we had. Paul, again, you will take the reins on this, and then we'll get Pong Soul to jump in and we'll go around. Let's talk about, again, the need for a superhero game on Xbox. Again, that dreaded word some people love and some people hate. Exclusive, right? should Microsoft go out and secure their own superhero? And if so, who do you think would best fit the portfolio? Obviously, Spider-Man and Wolverine now sort of off the table. And also, which studio in Microsoft's repertoire do you think could potentially do a game the best? That's my questions for everybody here. Have at her, Paul. Do you think they need one? Do you think they need to lock something down? And which character?
I don't think they need one, but if they were to lock one down, I think the one that would carry the most weight and be the most would be a Batman game. In this, because they've had great luck with the Arkham series and things like that. So we know Batman carries a lot of weight, and people love that fighting style and the gadgets, and there's a lot of good story behind Batman as well. Because there are certain characters that don't work well. I've never seen a good standalone Superman game.
Right.
It doesn't happen. The guy is boring. Okay, the guy's milquetoast. It's like, the other one I'd like to see, but he's a Marvel thing, is Punisher. I'd love to see a great Punisher game. I think there's a lot they could do with that character that would be a lot of fun.
It's funny because I actually saw somebody in Twitter say the Coalition doing a Punisher game.
Oh, that would be cool.
Oh yeah, that would be gritty. Yeah, I would love that.
So
go ahead,
I mean, that's my take. I think if they were to go after one, I think Batman would carry that weight, even if it was a timed exclusive for a year or whatever. That would answer the question. Do they need a hero? I don't think they need one, but if they were to go after one, he would be the main one to go after.
Okay. And if you had to pick a studio that you think could do justice by a superhero franchise, which would it be?
I am not real big on keeping track of what studio does what. Serious, I don't follow it to that level.
Right. Okay.
So I couldn't answer that question. I'm sure somebody else on the panel could go, well, there's a good, whoever did Arkham Knight and that series, I can't even think of the studio that did that. Would
Rocksteady.
Be incredible. Rocksteady, because they have a history of working with that kind of fighting, that kind of graphical, that look that looks so well in Batman. It just works out well.
But what's the crazy part here, guys, before we get over to Pong is, we're talking about studios and pedigree, right? So Insomniac hit lightning in a bottle with Spider-Man, but we've also seen how a pedigree studio like Crystal Dynamics made Tomb Raider and made an unbelievable reboot of the franchise, but did not strike gold with the Avengers, right? At least not in the minds of most people. No one would say it's a terrible game, but boy, did it live up to its lofty expectations, or did it even come to the same level of hype, excitement, and quality that Spider-Man had? I would dare to say not. Some people might argue with me. I know Jago Kukun would probably, and Cyber Gunter in the chat, those guys would probably say, Newf, you're full of beans. This game was amazing. And we're glad that people liked it. They aren't the only two people. There are still probably thousands who really did, but I did not like what they were doing with that game. I think it's probably safe to say most of the people on this panel did not exactly like where the Avengers took that franchise. And again, I want the Guardians of the Galaxy game, but if they're going to do that same junk with that game, let me tell you, I am not touching that game with a 10-foot pole.
Well, they lost their director too that did those Tomb Raider games as well. He's now under the Xbox wing, so that might be something that with the initiative, so that might be a different thing too. You lose that eye. Yeah, for
great studio doesn't mean great game, right?
Correct.
For the Wish.com adventures.
Well, I mean, it's funny that everybody says that the ones doing that game for Sony, they're a studio and they have a great, but boy, remember months ago when it came out that, the ZeniMax and Bethesda was doing Starfield, and everybody's like, yeah, but what do they know? Just because they've done great games doesn't mean this game's going to be great. So it's flipped now. Now they're looking at this thing with no evidence and going, it's going to be great. Whereas for the other side, it was, that's not necessarily going to be anything big.
That's true.
So it's like, you can't win on either side. So I'm like, whatever, I just do my thing.
Yeah. Pong, jump in here, brother.
Yeah. Okay. So apologies to anybody in chat who's been following me around on topics this week on different shows, because this is basically a speech for me right now because I've talked about this so much. Look, I'm very bullish on this right here. I know people have big opinions on both sides of this, and I understand where those opinions come from because when you say need, it's subjective to how you're going to apply that word. When it comes to me, again, not a big superhero guy. Don't need a superhero game in my life. Spider-Man was cool, not the best ever for me. Could take it or leave it, right? So for me, that's where I'm coming from. When I say need, I'm talking about the business side of things, and not just, hey, I want to get an exclusive because Sony's got exclusives.
Right,
So
right.
us over at Xbox side can say, oh, hey, we got one now too. That's not what I'm about. And a lot of people are conflating a lot of the opinions with that definition. So for me, from a need standpoint, yes, I am bullish on this. I think Microsoft does need to go do something to start getting licensed IP games. We are seeing a resurgence in licensed IP games. And I think that I'm not about chasing trends. This is not about chasing Sony and what they're doing either. This is just looking at the industry as a whole and where it's going. We used to get a ton of licensed IP stuff. Whenever there was a big movie coming out, we'd have a game for it. But guess what? It used to be miss after miss, and then we get an okay game, and then we get miss after miss. It was hit or miss back in the day. Right now, there's a formula in place. It started with Batman and Rocksteady, and then Insomniac took it to a new level. Okay. And so we've already got kind of a roadmap of how to do these games now. And that's why we're seeing this resurgence. That's why you see Wolverine going to Insomniac. And that's why you see whispers of John Wick supposedly possibly making a comeback as well. So I think that Xbox does need to go do this because it adds to the diversity. They already have a great diverse lineup. They are already strong in Western RPGs, first-person shooters, all this stuff, but it just adds another genre, which is its own thing in superheroes and licensed IP to your catalog, that when people are shopping Game Pass, especially since that is your vehicle. And Phil, again, we're talking about a company that is aiming for 2 billion, 3 billion people, and you can roll your eyes all you want. But if you look at their plans and how they've laid this out, they are legitimately going to try to capture as many of these people as they can. And that takes having everything covered. And so I think the superhero genre, as big as it is, and yes, we could see it lull, we could see it start dropping in popularity. That's always a potential. But I think your core base of fans is still big enough to support these types of licensed IP. I think that this needs to be done. I think Xbox, again, as far as studios go, let's talk about studios. First of all, Xbox has been doing fantastic in letting their studios make and create what they want. They have a ton of teams. They're all doing a lot of different projects. So all you do is you go and you ask the entire group of them, is anybody interested in working in licensed IP? If any of those teams raise their hand, you say, okay, great. What IP are you interested in working with? And give us a pitch. What do you guys want to do with it? If it's all good, you go pay the money, you go get that IP, let the team work on it. Now, if all these teams are busy, they're all happy doing what they're doing, they don't want to do a licensed IP, totally understand. It's a totally different beast. We've seen how it goes bad when you don't get it right in the Avengers, right? And we've seen how great it can be when you do it right in Batman and Spider-Man. So if a team is interested, great, let them do it. If not, you have an opportunity right now. You are behind the curve in this specific spot. Sony has gotten ahead of the curve because of Insomniac and the great work they do. So you are behind the curve. You have to overpay. You go out right now. You talk to WB, AT&T, Discovery, whoever is in charge of those studios. You make them an offer they can't refuse. Okay, yeah. Period. You go get Rocksteady. You go get Monolith. Both of those teams have proven that they can work with licensed IP. Monolith did a fantastic job with Lord of the Rings, and obviously we know what Rocksteady did with Batman. NetherRealms is a whole different conversation. Love what they do. Love to bring those guys in too for the fighting side of things, and they work well with a licensed IP as well. But again, those two, Rocksteady and Monolith, you go get those. You bring those in. You ask them specifically, Rocksteady, you want to keep working on Batman? Do you want another IP? Whatever they say, you go pay it. You go pay the money, you go grab that IP, let them do their thing. I think Rocksteady has proven, even though they have been in a place that has been in turmoil, it hasn't always been consistent from WB. There's been a lot of things that have been up in the air. They still put out great games. Now you put them in a spot where they are allowed creative freedom. They are allowed unlimited resources, basically, again, quote unquote, unlimited, but you give them that stability. I think you might have another Insomniac in your house at that point. And I think it's somebody that could be consistently putting out great games. Monolith, same thing. Ask them, do you guys want to continue to work on Lord of the Rings, or is there something else you had your eye on? What do you guys want to do? Great, go get it. That's what you do. All of a sudden, you start to get ahead of the curve. And I think, honestly, licensed IP, and I'm not just talking about specific comics, but I'm just talking about licensed IP in general. There's a big window here. And I think you actually create a group of studios that works specifically with licensed IP that want to do that. And I think you start going out and having sit downs with the Disneys, right? You have sit downs with all the big movie studios and say, hey, look, what does your roadmap look like? What do you guys got coming up? What would fit well with a game coming out? How good? Look, there's a missed opportunity right in front of us. How great would it have been had somebody thought about it or wanted to go do it? We have an opportunity right now. We could have had a brand new Matrix game coming out with this movie. How awesome would that have been to have Neo in your hands, right? How awesome would it have been to have Trinity in your hands? It would have been fantastic. But again, that licensed IP has scared off a lot of customers, but now we're starting to see the resurgence. So you go out, you get this roadmap laid out for you. You say, hey, what do you got coming up? What aren't you able to do? If it's MCU, what stories are you guys leaving on the cutting room floor? What can't you do in the movies that you'd love to see somewhere else that would make a great game? Pull those stories on in. Have your team build out. You become official part of the MCU. Make it canon. Right? Make that official canon. So when your game launches, you can say this is MCU approved, whatever you want to call it. And then all of a sudden now you've got that experience. And again, this goes back to just simply business, building out your portfolio. Phil has talked about the need for more kids games. Okay. I'd love to see the adult side of things. Blade, Spawn, Punisher. I'd love to see those in the Xbox catalog. Once you go out and get an Iron Man, right? Once if you go out and get a Superman, kids, when they look, it's not just the hardcore Sony fans that are buying Spider-Man. It's the mainstream. It's the casuals that also the kids are going, Mom, Dad, I want to play Spider-Man. Can you get me a PlayStation? You do the same thing on your side. You'll get an Iron Man and you get a great flying mechanic. You go talk to the BioWare people and see what they did with Anthem. Again, Anthem being what it is, it still is the best flying ever in a video game, in my opinion. They proved that they could do an Iron Man suit style flying, right? Go get those people, get that mechanic, and all of a sudden you got the basis for a great Iron Man game, right? And then all of a sudden kids are like, man, I really want to play Iron Man. Dad, Mom, go get me Game Pass. I want to play this game. Again, that's what this is all a part of. So I think I am very bullish on this, as you can tell. I definitely think, again, it's not a need as in, if they don't have this and all of a sudden Sony's the home of, comic book characters, that Xbox is dead, close up shop, they're done. Absolutely not. Xbox is going to dominate. They've got so many studios and teams and they're not done yet. I'm just saying this is one more genre to bring in to accentuate what you already are good at and just add to that value that we always talk about. So that's where I'm at with it.
Cool. Shout out to the chat. We got our good friend Titan Drago's in the chat. What's going on, Titan? I'm pretty sure he's over playing Smite or Orcs Can Die this morning. Good to see you here, bro. Good to see you here, my friend. Yes, we also got our good friend of the show. We got Xbot448. What's going on, people? Yes, he is in the chat this morning. Good to see you, Xbot, as well as Albert G, Double M. Lost Forever is here hanging out with us this morning. We got a lot of great people up in here right now. Some great debates happening throughout the chat as well. That sort of stuff. So good to see you guys here, and everybody trying to keep it fairly respectful, which I love. Triad fan here, Silver Shroud, HTK 360 Fastback here, NLG Brothers. What is going on, guys? Good to see you here, Masuko. The list goes on, guys.
Good to see you. Oh wait, no,
yeah, Ponsol's here. We got
I've got you muted, Cerebral. So glad you said it out loud.
And we got a super chat coming in from our friend Gone Mad, who drops $5 and says, incredible Hulk game that uses all the features in the Series X, including the Azure cloud, for ridiculously destructible environments that is fun. Well, we heard that promise in the past too from another game called Crackdown. We see how that played out. So let's not get too excited about cloud destruction. That still might be years out yet, but I definitely like the idea of a Hulk game. Who wants to jump in on this next one?
One licensed IP I'm
I wanna
looking
go
forward to, real quick. One licensed IP I'm looking forward to that we haven't mentioned at all over months. James Bond, by the makers of Agent, what's his name?
IO Interactive.
IO.
IO Interactive. Yeah,
better be more exciting than
For
those
the
Hitmans, though.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully it will be. It'd be a James Bond thing, but yeah, I saw an article on it. They are going ahead with it, so, and it looks like, you know, and they have a good pedigree with games like that.
Mhm.
So, like you said, as long as it's a little more exciting story wise, I think we got that's something to look forward to. That I'm looking forward to in the way of licensed IP.
Right.
You know.
Cool. Who hasn't had a chance to jump in on this one yet?
I like to
Go ahead,
jump
Terry.
in.
Yes, by all means, have at her.
For me personally, I wouldn't want Xbox to go the exclusive route on a superhero game, but I understand most people would want them to. So if they did it, I'm not going to be like, oh, shame on you. So if they did do it, I do agree with Paul that, you know, Batman is kind of the one that I could see working with the brand. However, I feel as well as Rocksteady did with their iteration of the Arkham games, I feel that they have to go to a whole nother level now to be able to compete with Spider-Man. And so for me, I feel that if they could get Ninja Theory to do Batman, I think they could really bring it to a whole new level. And it would be a huge forerunner competition-wise. And then, you know, if you were to just want to bring exclusivity for superheroes to really tick off the PlayStation side, then go ahead and snag Deadpool or Black Panther, and then, you know, Twitter will die. Everybody will be so over the top upset. Twitter would implode. And
more
that would be the
Deadpool
end.
than Black Panther, but yes. Mhm.
You know what I mean? So yeah. If you wanted to go that route, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, go Batman and have Ninja Theory do it, because they can definitely, you know, build it up to a whole new level than what Rocksteady did. And like Rocksteady did great, and I feel their version of the Arkham games is literally what inspired Insomniac to do Spider-Man the way they did it. There's a lot of similarities with the combat style, so you can tell they really got their inspiration from. But you have to keep going better, right? So the only way you can improve on that is that, you know, get some bigger talent. And Ninja Theory they have some crazy talent on there.
Yeah,
so I think, and with that dark, gritty atmosphere that Batman should be, I know they can nail it.
I would love to see a Deadpool game. I would love to see a Deadpool game.
A good one, yeah. Not like the one that, from a few years ago.
Some of the old ones, didn't work out too well. I definitely have something to say, but before I go, I don't know how I missed this. I'm sorry, guys, but the Artful Escape did come out this week. So if you want to check that out, please do. It's a little platformer game. The graphics, as far as the art style, looks great. Got music infused in it. So if I know a couple of people were waiting on the game, if you forgot about it, just like I forgot to mention it earlier, please check it out. It's on Xbox, it's on Game Pass. Please check out the Artful Escape. So I hate that I forgot to say that. But as far as the superhero genre right now, and this just might be a hot take, but we'll just see. I think as far as Xbox acquiring Marvel games, I think that's almost done. With the fact that them getting Spider-Man and Wolverine, if the games come out great, Insomniac has already shown they're doing good, doing great. And then you have a Spider-Man 2 coming out, you having this Wolverine, with them steady coming out with good games, unless they're only Insomniac is doing it, it'll be a while to get other characters in there. But the way we have no clue how many studios they have, but as many games they have coming out. But I think that they're going to have a strong hold on the main Marvel characters. If they get someone smaller, it might work or it might not. And depending on who's the dev, it might work out, it might not. I think they need to go the route of probably just acquiring DC, kind of what Pong was saying earlier. See if you could get WB to let them say, hey, we're going to license this out. You pull out whatever game, maybe go in and grab the studios that have been making the DC games. making the Batman games. I'm forgetting the studio. I'm drawing a blank right now. But
Rocksteady.
yeah, Rocksteady. That's right. Get Rocksteady and see if they've already been making those games. Let them keep going with it. Also, NetherRealm. Yes, I know it goes into more of fighting and more of Mortal Kombat, but those Injustice games, they wrote the stories for those Injustice games.
Yeah.
It veered away on the first one, and the second one was all them, and it was a great story along with the fighting. So, and you can say we're the home of DC because right now, I think if they say, "Oh, y'all have Marvel, we're going to get Marvel too," I think you're going to get more of the multi-platform games. Yeah, you'll get it on Xbox, kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy. But when we see the Guardians of the Galaxy game, we don't think Spider-Man level. We don't think, oh, Wolverine. And like I said, with the Wolverine game, all we saw was like a couple of seconds of nothing. We just saw him sitting at a bar. There's no gameplay, so we don't know.
Guardians of the Galaxy right now would be a totally mute topic if it wasn't for the success of the movies. Because while it does have a good following, let's be honest here, guys. Nobody talked about Guardians of the Galaxy up until those movies came out and were a massive hit. That's the truth.
Well, that same thing.
true,
Everybody talks Iron Man, but Iron Man was a B-rate character in the Marvel comics, almost relegated to C until they got put into the movies. Iron Man now is thought about, if you look in the MCU, is one of the leaders and the greats of the MCU. But if you go to the comics, it was never that. So they're bringing out characters and making them rich and whole through the MCU. And I think with their connection with Spider-Man and Sony, now they're going into X-Men lore. I think they might have to say, all right, Sony is Xbox, is X-Men and Marvel, and yeah, we'll get the multi-platforms because you're not going to get an EA anything that's going to be to one console. EA wants to make that money, so they're going to put it on everything they can get. But some of these other studios who get these licenses, you're going to kind of miss out. I would love for them to go that DC route. And that's just be me greedy saying NetherRealm and doing Injustice, but you can also get a Mortal Kombat at the same time. And I don't care if Mortal Kombat goes cross-platform. That is a great studio just to have under your wing. So I think they need to go the DC route and see what they can pull off.
Great take. Another one, Scrubs. Good stuff, guys. I'm loving this. Everybody said some really great points here this morning. Awesome. Can't wait to see what Axel's got to weigh in with here on his superhero thoughts. Go ahead, Axel.
So I agree with Pong. If Xbox is going to go the DC route, they need to scoop up Rocksteady and Monolith. They're already doing a fantastic job. They know how to use the Nemesis system. They know how to make good games, and they know how to write the stories. Don't mess with success, and make them your IP houses, your licensed IP houses. They can do a Matrix game. Like I remember playing, I think it was Path of Neo. No, that was the RPG. Yeah. That was the RPG on PC. Enter the Matrix.
Enter the Matrix, yeah.
And
Monolith did the MMO Xbox too, by the way. Monolith did the Matrix MMO. So
yeah, the Path of Neo MMO. Yeah. So if you're going to start going for WB style heroes, which WB does own the media rights to DC Comics, you're going to have to pay a pretty penny, and I think they should. If they're going to go that, but everybody's been ignoring my favorite comic right now, which is The Boys. I want a superhero game with Seaward Descent.
Oh goodness. That's going to PC only.
It's dropped everywhere, There's blood everywhere, and then come and put on your superhero smile, like, yeah, I just murdered someone, and I did it all for you. Yeah, I don't know. I just find it to be
initially, though, the whole call has to be for recognition, and as good as The Boys is, and you're right, I'd buy it too, but that's not going to draw in the masses necessarily. Batman, the masses. The Punisher draws in the masses.
The Punisher,
The Boys is something that comes down the road. The Boys is something that comes down the road.
I would love to see a The Boys video game, and I know The Boys right now has a deal with Amazon, so obviously it would come out of Amazon Games. So maybe Microsoft needs to go talk to Amazon Games. So as far as a in-house studio doing a superhero game, and a licensed game. I grew up in the old LJN days. I don't know if everybody remembers that. If you saw an LJN licensed game, that was basically the death touch. You know, that stupid rainbow. That rainbow didn't lead to a pot of gold. It led to a pot of poop. So, you know, that LJN X-Men sucked. The LJN Silver Surfer sucked. The LJN, all those other dumb games that they made. Oh, it was just awful, awful, awful. Licensing games can be very tricky because you don't own the licensing. Like right now, Microsoft is in a licensing nightmare with MechWarrior, right? Which is why we're not getting Mech Assault right now on backwards compatibility or a sequel. So licensing can be has to be its own department, and to strike a deal that's going to be super long. Microsoft's just not really known for that. You know, they strike 4-year licensing deals, kind of like Forza. And unless they own the license, I don't think Microsoft is interested in licensing out anything right now. It has bit them in the butt so many times. I don't think that's a route they want to go, unfortunately. But if they do go this way, if they do want to get their own superhero, I think they can't do what Sony's doing. Then it'd be just Sony. They got to go the opposite way, which is the DC route. And Monolith and Rocksteady are going to be your two DC publishers, in my opinion.
But that's licensing as well.
Exactly, like I said.
But
like I said, if they do it.
Yeah, that's a lot of money you're going to get on the back end. So it's almost worth it.
Well, it better be worth it for the licensing fee. They're probably going to have to pay for those.
Okay.
And that's my take. So do they need it? No, I think Rocksteady and Monolith are doing just fine putting all their superhero games on everything.
Absolutely.
And that's the way it should be. Sony is the one who broke the mold, and I don't think everybody should follow, in my opinion.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll end off and just saying this, and I'll try to keep my thoughts focused as I can because I got a lot of them in my head right now. Okay. And as I'm sitting there listening, all you guys had amazing points, but let me just say this. No, do they need it? No, but should they? I absolutely think they should, just because it's the perception that the industry has right now. And of course, fans and gamers alike. Like I said, right now with Wolverine, it starts to become Sony PlayStation is the place to play your Marvel games, right? So that's the thing. And we don't know that this is going to be the end. If, as I said, if Wolverine comes out and it's hugely successful, they already have another Spider-Man 2. So that's another Spider-Man game that, again, Xbox owners will not be able to play. So I think logistically, I think they need a character of their own to identify with. Like Sega wasn't successful back in the 80s and 90s, or at least in the 90s, until they did what? They came up with a character that could compete with Mario, correct? Sonic was, you can say all you want about Shinobis and Afterburners and Outruns, but it was Sonic that put the Genesis and Sega sort of back on the map and made them a major competitor. I see this as no differently. So now Sony's going to identify with having Marvel, Spider-Man, Wolverine, etc. And I think Xbox needs to do the same, and they come back with licensing of their own. The studio to make a game, personally, I can't think of no better one to do it than the Coalition. I know they're going to be busy with Gears, but maybe, you know, Xbox or Microsoft, they throw lots of money at the Coalition. They build a studio and they make them into 2 or 3. They have the engines, they have the talent, they know how to do graphics, they know how to do storytelling. That's why I think, and people, you know, that sort of thing. The thing is as well, when it comes to the characters, look, Batman, yes, it's the obvious choice that people say Batman, but here's the deal. Rocksteady has already done an amazing Batman game. And the problem is everybody, if Microsoft does it internally with one of their studios and makes a game, if they can get the licensing, of course, right? Is that everybody's going to compare their Batman to Rocksteady's. And it's going to always be judged. Just like every Spider-Man game, therefore, like Insomniac obviously are going to do Spider-Man games. Well, just to say they didn't, and the license went back to whoever. Everything's now from this part out is going to be judged by Insomniac's version of Spider-Man, because it's probably the best one. Look, the thing when Beanox made Spider-Man games, I don't think Beanox made bad Spider-Man games. The problem was Beanox was always, with Activision, was always subjected to making Spider-Man games to coincide with some sort of licensed movie. That was the problem. And we all know that's really, really tough for studios because they're on a really tight timeline because they got to make sure these games basically come out within the window of the movie, right? So that was their thing. If you look at the Spider-Man games that those companies made that weren't based on a movie, they were their best efforts, like Shattered Dimensions, and there was a few other ones, right? That and they weren't all that bad. You know, even some of the movie games weren't necessarily terrible, but sure, they weren't as good as Insomniac's. No hands down, right? So for me, for Xbox, if you're going to pick a Marvel character, I say go with the Hulk, because the Hulk would be immensely fun, has mass appeal. And again, if you got the world's most powerful console per se, why not have one of the world's most powerful superheroes in the Hulk? Plus, he's green, so it kind of makes sense. I don't think they're going to touch a rated R superhero if they did, simply because it takes away the mass appeal. Now you've gone from a game that could appeal to 13-year-olds to 20-year-olds. You know, if you get a rated R superstar, and they got lots. I mean, you kind of the Punisher, Judge Dredd, Spawn, to name a few, would be massive superheroes to have in the portfolio. But again, then you cut out part of your audience, because then they're only gonna apply to rated R stuff, right? So far, Marvels are still PG for the most part. Wolverine is more gritty than Spider-Man. We get that, but I don't think you're going to see a Wolverine where he swear. I really don't think they're going to go that route. It's still going to be a PG game that will have excessive violence. I don't think we're going to see a lot of that. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think we're going to see a real really gritty version of Wolverine that'll still be kept in check, so to speak, so they can appeal to the masses. So like I said, I don't think you copy Batman. I think personally it's Superman. Okay, and as soon as I say Superman, and that would be my first pick, people go, well, Superman's boring and he's OP. I get that part, I understand, but here's the deal. Well, then why does Superman comics or movies even exist if he's that OP? No, right? The thing comes down to storytelling. Like Superman, yes, I get it. He's the most powerful, probably the most powerful superhero of any superhero out there for the most part. But if you got creative storytelling, there's ways to do it. And I think the thing you got to wrestle with Superman is tell the story, again, the moral side of the story, not just going out and beating the crap out of bad guys, but have a part as well where you're playing the part.
We could do a whole show on Superman, dude. I could do a whole show on
totally.
Superman.
But Superman shouldn't be just about the bad guys. It should be about wrestling with moral choices. For example, if you play the Superman game and you go down and you destroy stuff, or you hit civilians, you kill civilians, well, guess what? Your enemy is not just maybe that outworldly alien that comes down. Now you got to wrestle against the public opinion and all of this. And so, you see this in a lot of games, your moral choices and how they change the character. Much the same, you could do that with a Superman game, where if you want to play a bad Superman throughout the game, great, but it's going to change how the game greatly plays and how the world looks upon you. Now you went from being a hero to an anti-hero to a bad guy, and maybe some people to play that, but that's sort of thing. Like, you've got to wrestle with these things. Like Injustice, exactly.
Yep, and they've done that a lot in the comic books. Yeah, they've done that.
Exactly. So I think to do a game, you just there's enough creative writers that you can make Superman extremely interesting, make him gritty, have great characters. Like I said, whether it's you coming down, it's a story about Zod, because we don't really see. We've seen it in the movies, but we haven't really seen it in the games. And Superman is just it's been a victim of it's just been a victim of bad games. That's the problem. Like, it only takes one person to make a great game, and all of a sudden Superman is relevant in the gaming space. But we haven't seen it, because what was the last active Superman game outside of appearing in Injustice that we've seen? What, N64?
Bad flying mechanics. So that's a lot of people never figure out the flying mechanics. That's been the biggest hurdle for Superman games.
And they should have it when he's flying, when he's hitting Mach speeds. It should literally look like he's hitting Mach speed. Could you imagine if you're going super fast as Superman and you're in a city? I know it would be hard from a technical standpoint, but actually blowing through a building, like you saw them do when he was fighting Zod in the Man of Steel movies, right? And blowing through these buildings, and there's literally that kind of destruction. Wouldn't that be just crazy in itself to see that kind of scale in a game? If you nail his speed and you nail his strength, those sorts of things, he would be a massive, because he is, outside of Batman, he's the most recognizable name.
Yep. One thing about Superman that people tend to forget is he purposely holds back, because he doesn't want to kill people, because he doesn't want to, even the bad guys, he doesn't want to do permanent damage. He wants to stop them without killing them. And
exactly.
They've made that a point in some of the comic books as well. That would be a great game mechanic, because you would have to make that choice at some point.
I love it, Paul.
How bad do I need to stop this guy?
Exactly. That would be awesome. Like I said, there's ways to do it. People got to stop being just narrative, narrow focus, and going, well, he's OP, it can't be done. No, it can be, with a great writer and a great script. Everything is based around script. That's what makes your game go from being a good game to a great game, is having great script and great character. And sometimes that's often set by the side characters within a game. I mean, part of what makes Spider-Man great or Batman great as well, guess what it is? the great villains that they have to face. That's one of the biggest reasons those two are so popular in the comic book space, because they've always had some of the best villains to go against. They're iconic. Whereas some of the other characters, like that out of Marvel and DC, that's one thing that they lack, is they're great characters in their own, but they never really had some of those villains that kind of stepped out and like stole the show. I mean, the Joker is almost as big as Batman himself in some ways, right? Because he's in everything and he's just so iconic. You know, that laugh and that scowl and that that insidious nature. It's insane. So, like I said, Superman, Hulk would be really cool. Again, that destruction. We saw how it could be done. Remember Hulk Ultimate Destruction on Xbox? Imagine today's technology.
Yep.
Like, that game was amazing back, and that was fun as hell. You'd fly across the screens, Hulk smash. To me, Hulk, and that was the part that really disappointed me the most when I'm playing the Avengers game. It's that Hulk, because of the style of the game that they had, or Thor even, for example, they just didn't feel powerful to me. Like I said, when you got little shitheads running up to you with a shield and you can't even knock them down, like you need 40 punches to beat some little dork with a shield. We're not talking about these big overpowered aliens you're fighting. They little human guy, the Hulk, realistically.
Nope. Yep.
If he punched a guy like that, the guy would
Hulk
be in another time zone.
Back. Yeah, Hulk isn't about holding back like Superman. Hulk is about...
No. So when I got to that part again, that was the part of Avengers that was like when the disappointment really set it for me. I get the Hulk and I didn't feel powerful anymore. It's like I'm cracking these guys with these Hulk smashes and they're just laughing at me. I'm like, what is this? Are these guys superheroes or something? These are like regular soldiers with shields. Like, give me a break, man. You should be destroying those guys and then have OP enemies later on, like, like, I don't know, whatever. That sort of thing. But anyway, getting off topic, but that would be my picks. And another studio I think could do really well would be Playground. And I say that simply because they're massively talented. I don't know if Playgrounds would screw up anything at this point. We're going to see how they do with Fable, but I think if Fable's successful, they expand that studio, perhaps again, a second team, and use some of their engines and stuff. They know how to build the worlds. There's just, can they storytell, and can they create it with a third person perspective in space? Those would be my two picks. I mean, Alex, Ninja Theory, is Coolcat Terri, so it would be just absolutely astounding as well, because they know how to do narrative. They know how to do great graphics. And that's what I mean. Like, if you're going to do a superhero right on Xbox, you might as well do it with one of your most talented studios from graphical and technological standpoint. Don't just do it and the game kind of looks ho-hum. The Spider-Man game's on the Playground. What? Yeah, id
use id Tech too.
Yeah. Could you imagine here's one for you. How about a Judge Dredd done on a Doom engine in first person? My God, could that be cool?
We've never had a good Judge Dredd game. I would love a good Judge Dredd game.
Me too.
Well, I do want to say, like Albert G said, it is true that Hulk is hinted in that Wolverine game. He's on the license plate, and you see that little trailer. So maybe missing on Hulk as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I had a super chat, guys. I missed it from Victor Alistine. He drops $5. His question with all that. What is the panel's thoughts on Microsoft buying up a movie studio like the entirety of Warner Brothers probably cost them $90 billion? I don't know. Do you guys think it could potentially happen?
No,
I wouldn't do it. Not because of the money, but you're also grabbing onto a whole movie studio part, and you're going to stretch your company thin. You're going to have to buy and pay salaries for all those people making movies, making those decisions. You're bringing a whole separate concept in, along with, I would rather you try to buy the rights to the video game IP than try to grab the movie studios along with WB.
You're just way outside your wheelhouse.
Yes.
That's not Microsoft's game, right? That's why they haven't done a lot of things, is because they have zero interest in trying to get into industries that they don't have any knowledge of. That's
right.
No, I can't see that happening.
Yeah.
But can you imagine all those superhero shows and movies now coming to Game Pass streaming instead of HBO? No, I don't think they should do it. Like you said, it's definitely not their expertise. It's not what they're interested in. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I'm in the same spot. I don't think they need to own the entire studio. They just need need video game rights, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I said, we don't know how this is all going to pan out. And at worst case scenario, like, I think after seeing what's happening with the industry over the next couple of years, Microsoft may at least have to look at something. Like I said, they're doing the Indiana Jones thing, so people can look at that and decide that maybe, we nail down something along that lines and make it, entirely exclusive, not just the timed or anything else, or give anybody the thought that, these games are going to appear on another platform. Just like I said, fight fire, so to speak. It doesn't make it right. No, like I said, it sucks for fans one way or the other, but if you're a multi-console owner, none of this stuff basically is a problem at all. Like at the end of the day, if you're a gaming fan, you buy what you want when you want it, and that's it. Whether you got your PC and your PlayStation, or your PC and your Xbox, et cetera, if they come out on multiple things. But when they are, again, if it's only console exclusive, it does make a difference if you're going to own that one console. And again, it's all about numbers. Microsoft, Sony wants numbers in a different way. They're trying to sell consoles. We get that they're trying to stay relevant and current and sort of like the boy on the block. And Xbox wants to get people into Game Pass, and still an exclusive on the magnitude of a popular comic book character, being again, comics and comic book movies right now are still riding an all-time high. It's every freaking thing comes out is almost like gold. Can you ignore it when your competitor is putting it right in your face, and part of it doing it almost like on purpose per se? It's almost like I said, but you shot over the bow, as you said. Well, it's war on again, right? It's one way or the other. It is what it is. They're competitors competing for your dollar, your time, and eventually, if Sony puts out there, we got all the Marvel characters, well, guess what happens, right? So, hello, Mr. Cheeto. Say hello to everybody. See, there's another cute little orange cat. Hello. Little runt. Anyway, I'm done. I think I've had everything I said to say. Again, Rocksteady is awesome. They make great Batman games, but I don't think I'd want to copy the Batman route, because, again, you're going to be compared then to those games. And if they're not quite on par, or they don't compare to you as to what they had immediately, they're going to be like slammed. So
I don't totally agree with that. I think it depends on how the story is told and what the story is.
Batman has some of the best DC stories as well, because of his rogue gallery. Just like Spider-Man has the best rogue gallery in Marvel. So you can kind of tell.
How about a Batman game that's done after the animated series in that style, but a good one?
Ooh.
Wouldn't that be
cool? That would be nice.
And you did it with stylized graphics, so you didn't have to worry about ultra realism. It was it's like basically a living Batman the animated series, and you bring back those voice actors, Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill.
Heck yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's a great idea. I would love that.
Right? That would itself sell, I think, would be huge, because that's one of the most revered Batman series out there. Right?
No Batman Beyond, though.
No Batman Beyond. No, absolutely. And the one thing with the Spider-Man, and I hope Insomniac does this, and I hope if they're listening and pass along, one thing with seeing Miles Morales and Spider-Man on the same screen, and that, please make that co-op. I don't know how hard that's going to be to do with the open world nature of the game and the swinging mechanics.
It's already been confirmed to be single player, Newf.
But they're missing. They're missing. But that also means it again, the big question again. I think it's a missed opportunity if they don't make it co-op, because I think that would push it to a whole nother level. However, I still think that this one could be cross-gen, and I think that might be part of the reason why.
I'm definitely think it's going to be cross-gen, and Sony likes to have their single-player story driven, so I think it's going to bounce back and forth between Miles and Peter. I think that's what's going to happen.
Sony hate co-op modes or something, because I swear to God, I don't know if they've ever had a freaking game with a co-op mode ever.
They apparently are working on some multiplayer game, but they're saying that it has to be cinematic multiplayer, whatever that means. So whenever we get that out,
that's what that means. Lots of cutscenes.
Quick time events, cutscenes. I don't know.
Cutscene. It's going to be 3 times the cutscene.
The thing with Spider-Man, though, if they were going to make the second one co-op, because the open world is so massive and there's so much to render, they would have to have player 2 tethered. You wouldn't be able to just have one person go a separate way. It would be
they'd be running into the same issue that Halo is running into.
Yeah, they would have to stay tethered.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Albert, I wouldn't care if the game ran at 1080p if it was co-op. Honestly, I'd forgive it for that because I know how immense like New York City would be, like the scale of it with Spider-Man. But honestly, do it at 1080p and make a co-op. I'd be sold. I'd be in day one for sure. I'd be in day one anyway. But like with the co-op mode in Spider-Man, can you imagine how freaking cool that'd be?
Yeah, I might steal a PS5 for that.
Exactly.
Oh.
Like these are facts. You know, they can always say all they want. Xbox needs more story-based narrative, third-person, over-the-shoulder action games. Well, you know what? PlayStation needs more co-op and multiplayer games that are actually worth the damn. So there you go. A little bit of both. But anyway, any further thoughts? Any more segments? Does anybody have a community spotlight? I think the only people that left to do right now, I think, is Terry. I think you're one. Who else has got to do one here? I've done one. Shaddai doing Scrub. Yeah,
and
you
I
too.
thought I'd wait till October is
Okay.
Disabled Gamers Month or whatever. So I'm gonna do one in October. So
all right, we'll leave it till then. No rush today because we are an hour and a half in, and everybody's had amazing input today. The chat's been on fire. Albert G fact checking everybody on the fly here. Crispy Rambo in the house. Hey man, you know what? Sometimes it's great to have people in the chat too that are perhaps a little more up to date on certain topics, or because sometimes I don't mind being called out if I'm wrong, because the worst thing you can have is misinformation and a lot of bad narratives going around because again, people don't know how to read or don't have basic comprehension of things. So I do appreciate that from time to time, as long as you do it in a respectful way and not like, these guys on this panel are all a bunch of idiots. Don't listen to a word they say. They don't know crap. Because we're all just gamers at the end of the day. And some people, they'll spend all day on this crap and they're reading every article under the sun. We all don't have time for that. So, you know what I mean? So
I play games as well. So
exactly. We play games too. We're not just reading articles and all that stuff. So Batman and RoboCop.
Reading articles. I read a lot of articles. What are you talking about?
That's why we got you in the panel, Paul, because we got a diverse panel here. Everybody knows a little about everything here. That's what I love. It's good stuff. Yeah, I don't watch as many podcasts as I used. I wish I had the time, man. But honestly, if I thought of it this one time, I was like, man, if I watched every podcast from start to finish that I actually liked, I don't think I'd play a single game. Not one.
Right.
Yeah.
There's literally 10 podcasts that I do enjoy, but like I have to catch up with them on the replay, or sometimes I'll catch them live. That sort of thing. Depends on the time. You know what I mean?
A lot of times I have them on while I'm playing because I can do both. A lot of people can't do that.
I can't. I like to be engaged in the chat. It keeps my mind fresh,
Yes.
Yeah. If I'm just listening, I'll catch part and then I'll just miss half of it. Like, what I caught part of that, but what was it they said? And then you got to go back and replay and this, that, something else. So. But anyway, it's been an awesome show. I think we're all about ready to wrap up. Well, Axel, did you have anything cloud related? No. Okay. Because I did ask everybody in the private chat. I said, who's got segments? And other than Terry, I don't think any, and Scrub, nobody really had anything. So that's fine. All right. Let's close out the show. And let's start with our fantastic. Yeah. What are we talking about, Fail? Good to see you here, brother. Let's start with our fantastic guest this morning, making his first ever appearance on this particular podcast. We'll have him back in the future as well. Hopefully get him and Steel Rain on at some point and make a fantastic combo on their dynamite little Saturday morning podcast that she's going to tell you about right now.
I don't know, man. If you have us both on, Newf, you might have to go 4 or 5 hours. We went 4 yesterday, just him and I. So
we'll have to just get rid of a couple panel members for that day. Just give us heads up.
Yeah. No, this has been fantastic. Again, absolutely love what you guys got going on Good Morning Xbox. Love the entire panel. You've assembled the Avengers here, Newf. You've done a fantastic job. And so again, sorry to miss Eternal. But glad I could fill in here for sure. And a great way to start my Sunday morning. I thought I was done talking games. I was in the middle of the shop podcast, and all of a sudden I look at my DMs and there's Newf. Hey, you want to come on in the morning? And I was like, all right, we'll extend talking video games one more day because I absolutely love doing this. So thank you again for the invite. Coolcat, Paul, Axel, and Scrub. Appreciate every single one of you. Love your opinions. Great diverse opinions and come from all different angles. That's what makes podcasting fantastic. Chat, You guys are absolutely insane. A lot of familiar names in here at all times. You guys, this community is the best community I have ever been a part of, hands down. Love you all. Nothing but respect for all the support you give us as podcasters, because, again, we wouldn't be here. We'd be talking to each other or to ourselves in a closet somewhere about video games, and that's no fun. So thank you all for the great discussions out there as well. But look, you guys can find me, Pong Soul Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter. You guys know the drill there. I follow back. Hit me up in the DMs. I'll talk to you whenever I have the time. Real life obviously comes first, and work has gotten extremely busy, so I haven't been as active as I normally am. But hey, that's the way it rolls sometimes. Find me Tuesdays on the Xbox Factor podcast, Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, Zemi Games, 3-Bit. I'll be there 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Friday nights, Xbox Ultimate over on Fun Speculations channel, a.k.a. Mav, his beautiful wife, Caitlin, and the rest of the Magnificent Seven, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, Xbox Ultimate. Saturday mornings, like I was just talking about, and like Newf mentioned, living split screen with my brother from another, Steel, Rain, and I, just like this show, except an hour later, so you get to sleep in a little bit more, but set your alarms because we're going to wake you up with some great gaming talk. We don't have any specific console. We talk all games. Again, yesterday, him and I went 4 hours just breaking down the entire Sony show. So come by, check us out. 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time. That's Saturday mornings, living split screen all one word. And then Saturday evenings, the Shop podcast with PTK, Blam, Centurion, Fuzzy Belvedere, and hopefully we're going to get Staggerilla back soon, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. It's a short show. PTK always has great guests on, though. So come check us out there. Otherwise, people, listen to me. I say this every show. It is the golden age of gaming. For you younger gamers, you don't understand what we used to go through, waiting for games to come out. Now we have just a smorgasbord of games almost feels like weekly now at this point. It is the golden age of gaming. So get out there, play what you love what you play, and we'll talk to you soon.
And you all thought I was on a lot of shows. Yeah.
Yes, awesome. Thank you, Pong, for being here, brother. You're one of the good ones. We appreciate you doing. And again, we wish you the most success with all of your endeavors and your podcasts. Love what you bring to the table, your knowledge and your articulation. You do it very well, my friend. Like I said, so thank you for being here. You fit right in on this panel, that's for sure. If we could add 7, I'm pretty sure we get John here too. But right now, we're going to stick with 6. Just to acknowledge something in the chat as well with failed pyromancers here. We follow each other on Twitter and stuff, and a lot of people in the community see him as a big, Sony pony, I suppose, if you want to call it that. And I hate to use those phrases, but we had this private conversation. I think somebody kicked him out of my podcast chat on Tuesday night. And all I ask, first of all, I appreciate the moderators. You guys are MVPs to us. We appreciate what you do. And all I ask of any of my moderators, I can't help what you do on other shows, but when you're in my particular podcast, just also be respectful to the chat. And what I mean by that is, don't ban people for a difference of opinion. I don't mind opinions and a bit of debate in the chat. That's fantastic. Ban them if they're going to be, a-holes, if they're going to be very disrespectful to the panel, if they're going to come in with just garbage nonsense like the trolling stuff, like Xbox got no games. Look, the first time somebody puts that in the chat, you have my permission to kick them out because they're not here for the right reason. They're just here to be, an a-hole, right? That's all I ask. I don't ask you, this guy is talking Sony all day. That's fine. That's okay. Like I said, opinions and debates are great. So just that's all I ask, is that you just don't kick anyone out for those things because they're not hurting anybody. You can debate them all you want. Sometimes it makes for fun conversation in the chat. And sometimes, you know what? As much as we disagree with some things that people say in the chat, sometimes they're actually right. You just might not agree with what they said, but it doesn't make them wrong either. No more than I'm wrong or right. So that's all I ask. But you guys are fantastic. Who got no games? Exactly, right? Dreadpool is awesome, man. Good to see you, Dread. Timmy, what's going on? You guys are awesome. Chat's amazing. But anyway, let's get back to the outros and try to get this show done. Let's start out with Scrub Nurse. Oh, okay, failed. I'm going to have to kick you out now. Scrub Nurse, let people know where they can check you out, brother.
Oh, I'm glad for the chat to be here. Good time with the panel, Pong. Thank you for coming out, man. I really appreciate you filling in for us. You can find me on Xbox, that is Scrub Nurse, Twitter, Scrub Nurse 3. You see where you can find me on Twitch and Facebook, where sometimes I stream with my guys on the Bayou Elite, just having fun. A lot of times we're just playing some first-person shooters and talking crap. But also, you can find me on Wednesday nights. You can find me on Gaming Behind the Box with Wilmy and the crew. So thank you guys for coming out here today. I know it's early, but you guys always show up, and we definitely appreciate it.
Did you say Gaming Behind the Box? That's a totally different show.
Oh, excuse me. Did I say behind? I mean beyond. I'm sorry.
You were thinking behind the dumpster. We're 4K.
What kind of gaming are you doing over there?
Well, I mean, it is a night show, so it's a little to the R-rated, but yeah, Gaming Beyond the Box. Sorry, thanks for picking that up. And that's when you can see Scrub Nurse drink a whole bottle of wine on a Wednesday night. So instead of coffee, but yeah, thank you guys for coming out. We appreciate all you do, and yeah, that's it.
Very good. Awesome. Let's get over to Cerebral Paul. Cerebral, let people know what you got going on, because you got a lot. You could be here half the day as well. So there you go.
This is going to take about 20 minutes, but no. Of course, you can find me here every Sunday morning, and you can find me on, the next time you'll find me is Tuesday nights on Retro Renegades. And then Wednesdays on Midweek Gaming with Stubbs and the Stubbs Cast. And on Thursday, you can find me on 4GQ TV, which I'm the newest member there. That's a fun show, big show. And then on Fridays and Saturdays, I help with, when I'm feeling good, I help with community game nights with both the UK and the American side. And you can find me on Twitter at Cerebral Paul 1, Twitch and YouTube at Cerebral Paul, and Xbox at Cerebral Paul 921. I think that's it. I think I got everything, pretty much.
There you go. I usually tell people, main thing is get them on Twitter, because a lot of the links are over there, and if you're following us, most of us are fairly active on that platform. So, we kind of keep you up to date. So, all right, next we got the man with the fantastic swag. Yes, it is Axel1324, one of the biggest Halo fans on the planet. Axel, let people know where they can catch up with you, my friend, and we hope you got some more content coming our way.
Yes, I was actually on playing the games last night on the community game night, and I'm going to tell you right now, do not give Timothy a tank. Whatever you do,
oh, no.
You asset deny him a tank. All right. All right. Other than that, you can find me here on YouTube and Twitch, Axel1324 Gaming. I dropped a new video this week about all the PlayStation showcases. I also am still trying to get to Wave 100 on Halo Wars 2 Firefight. That is a tough mode on Twitch. You can watch my latest attempt on that. You can also find me on Twitter and Xbox, just Axel1324. Feel free to add me. I will most likely follow you back. And yeah, let's just get back to playing some games here on this Sunday and enjoy it. Oh, sorry, not Timothy. You're right. Mr. Tushy. Sorry, you're right, Timothy.
Right.
It was do not give Mr. Tushy a tank. He, I think I was the only one who got kills on him out of our team. And he still was like getting 14, 15 kills between him getting a tank. So, I mean, he was insane. Do not give him a tank.
Those guys that get all the power weapons in some of those games is like, do not let that person get the sniper or the rocket launcher, damn it.
Well, I don't know if it's if I'm playing with it. Obviously we're playing for fun, but there's certain strategies you do against the tank, and some people were just not doing them, and they were just feeding him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, just stop. But it's all for fun. We all had a good time, and we won some capture the flag games and big team battle games, so it was a lot of fun yesterday. Thanks for the invite, Timothy.
All right.
Yeah.
What, my invite every week isn't enough? Oh, that's.
I actually made time because I don't have time every Saturday to do community game night, but every now and again I will make time for it. And yesterday just happened to be the day.
Because I wasn't there because I was sick. I see how it is. No, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
the stars aligned mysteriously.
And last but not least, the lady who definitely makes cats very cool. It is Coolcat Terri, who's in the spotlight, even featured a game with cats today. Terry, let people know where you hang out. What's going on?
A dog person. No, I'm kidding. All right. But okay, so yeah, you can go ahead. You can catch me over on Twitter. That's Coolcat _Terri. It's not right on there. For Twitter,
I put it in there and it doesn't when I already fixed it.
Twitter is the only place where there'll be an underscore breaking it up. Otherwise, my name is always together as one word. So _Terri for Twitter. Otherwise, you can catch me on Twitch, as well as Instagram and everywhere else is just Coolcat Terri. On Twitch, I'm there all week long. So Monday through Thursdays, I'm there from 6 to midnight Eastern time, and then Friday right now up until up until Halloween, I'm doing my Fright Night streams, so you can catch me at 7 p.m. until I decide, I had enough of the scary stuff because I hate it. You can catch me over there playing that kind of thing on Saturdays. I usually do. Well, right now I'm doing indie stuff or just whatever, but normally I do community nights. I had to replace my my indie day with Fright Night for the season. I had to kind of shuffle things around, but you can always come and check that out. I always play a lot of variety of stuff, so there's always something there for someone. And then I also have my own podcast called Just a Glimpse. It's audio only, so you can go ahead and you can listen to it on your commute to and from work or while you're doing chores or whatever. Just look it up. It's on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Google, all those big places. So go ahead and check that out. And that one is a controversial one. My phone is over here listening to me now because I said Google. But you can go ahead and check that stuff out. Like I said, it's very controversial there. I don't care about your feelings on that.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and check that out.
Absolutely. Great stuff right there. Check her out, guys, and check everybody out as well. Like I said, descriptions down below. Just got to add Pong's info in after this show. Sorry about that, Pong, but I'll add your stuff in there. And, Eternal Shaddai couldn't be here today. He had other commitments, unfortunately, but hopefully he'll be back next week. And apparently he was, I think he had something to do with the warden. Apparently the inmates were complaining that his strobe lights were causing seizures. So he had to take down his, had to take down the setup. He'll be back next week. But anyway, and you guys know where to find me, always in the gutter. Tuesday nights with my brothers, Titan Drago, Middle-Aged Game Guy, Gaming After Dark, a podcast pretty much like no other. I think it's safe to say it's definitely a pretty well out there podcast, but we have a lot of fun over there. That's where the personalities come together and chat about games and other nonsense, all that good stuff. And right here with my brothers and sisters on this Good Morning Xbox. Another fantastic show today. We'll be back again next week. Hopefully, like I said, full panel. And as far as community game nights, I want to issue an apology to everybody. I know I don't have to host them. I mean, Paul's been doing a fantastic job of picking up my slack lately, and good on him for that. But it's not intentional. I've been just extremely busy. Life has really gotten in my way the last couple of months. And even next week, I'm not going to make it again because my sister's celebrating her 60th birthday. And we're having a party for her next weekend. So I'm not going to be here.
Newf. How important can it be?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Terrible. So I will be back to community game nights. I do miss everybody immensely. Tushy, Animated Evil, all the crew that comes over, Draven Arrow, Timmy, Treacherous God, all you guys who come out to play and be a part of that. It's fantastic. If you've never been a part of one, do yourself a favor and at least try to make one, because honest to God, they're so fun. We're having a good time. Even if you suck at some of the games that perhaps we pick, just have fun, because honest to God, nothing beats it than hearing somebody like Assassin Lupa going, "Oh, you shot me in the head, you asshole," and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just like when we played Uno a few weeks ago, like the most simple, stupid little game ever, but so much fun, and the swearing and the camaraderie and the crap that went down during that was unbelievable. And Halo is always fun, and Gears is probably the only one that I get frustrated with.
I suck at every game I host. So.
So there you go. At least you'll have one or two people you're almost guaranteed to beat, right, Paul?
Yeah, I'm usually it.
Paul stares at a lot of assholes at the bottom of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Sorry, Paul.
Just like in real life, I'm
just like in real life all the time. This asshole right here, this guy right here, big asshole. We're all in good fun, as you can tell. We're all.
I bet you if there was an odd job sized character in Halo, Paul would win, because that would be more his natural perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a great time. Like I said, I'll be back with them. So next week, obviously, Paul, you want to continue on again next week, all that good stuff. Pick out some great games, and we'll see you back here. But until then, everybody, like I said, this has been a dynamite show. Again, big thanks to Pong Soul, big thanks to the panel, and amazing thanks to the chat and our moderators. You guys are awesome. And to those watching this show on the replay, please share it out. If you like this stuff, you like what you see. I know it's early for a lot of people, but you know what? The retweets, the likes, the dislikes, whatever, it's all appreciated. We greatly appreciate your feedback moving forward, and more subscribers. Come on over and say hello and like the show and put it on your listener watch list, man. And we'll see you there. But anyway, until next week, everybody, have yourself a fantastic day, and game on.
See you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.